This man had just entered the game, and he already had players across the internet questioning their entire lives. Because the moves he pulled off were something not even cheats could replicate, let alone ordinary players. The developers were stunned on the spot, and the executives called an emergency meeting overnight. The forums instantly exploded. Either this guy is a god, or he's a monster. But the truth was 10,000 times more terrifying than cheating. What others played was a game. What he went through was hell. 10 years ago, Baek Woo-hyun was trapped inside Reverse Planet because of a bug, and he lived there for a full 10 years. He was taken to a research institute and turned into test subject number 62 of the Transcender Project. Electric currents were pumped through his body, and drugs were injected into his veins. Living people were treated as materials, and each death was more horrific than the last. His companions died before his eyes, one after another, and all he could do was survive. Survive until the very end, and then kill every last one of his enemies, without leaving a single one alive. So he planned to escape together with the other survivors. But when they crawled to the exit with everything they had, what awaited them was not freedom, but an even fiercer, stronger guard dog. That man wore a twisted smile, murderous intent written all over his face, and said this place would be their grave. No one had expected it to end like this, but they could not possibly kneel and wait for death, so they quickly arranged their tactics. Their companions took the front line with their weapons, while Baek Woo-hyun provided support from the rear. The men only thought they were throwing their lives away, which made it all the easier to wipe them out in one go. The battle was brutal to the extreme. All of them died. In the end, Baek Woo-hyun strangled that man to death with his own hands. Baek Woo-hyun cried as if his lungs were being torn apart. But in the very next second, something even stranger happened. From the bodies of his dead companions, black shadows crawled out one by one, each one filled with rage and resentment. And just like that, he escaped the research institute. In the blink of an eye, 10 years passed. During those 10 years, he did only one thing: kill. To avenge the people he loved, he harvested one life after another. The security personnel were utterly terrified, and their gun barrels glowed red-hot from firing. Some tried to flee in the chaos, but there was no way Baek Woo-hyun was going to let them go. But Baek Woo-hyun had grown weary of this endless revenge as well. All of them kept urging him to continue killing. He was on the verge of collapse. How much longer did he have to live like this? Was he supposed to keep killing until he died? At that moment, a pop-up window appeared. This was something he had been waiting for more than 10 years. Special mission, bug fix, eliminate the person in overall charge of the Transcender Project, and an opportunity to return to the original world will be provided. Baek Woo-hyun stared at the mission prompt in a daze. At last, a way to leave this place had appeared. The scene shifted, and a blonde man was kneeling on the ground. Why exactly are you doing this? You were only one step away from enjoying glory. Why exactly? This guy was the person in overall charge of the Transcender Project. At this moment, his bodyguards were already lying all over the ground. The white-haired man closest to him grabbed him by the collar. You're asking me why? Don't tell me you really don't know, and still dare to ask? But the blonde man slapped his hand away. Shut up, test subject number 81. I have no interest in talking to something like you. Mr. Baek Woo-hyun, you stepped into the realm of transcendence with a mortal body. You are a true superhuman. You are the most perfect masterpiece of the Transcender Project. Whatever it is you want, I will offer it up with both hands. You and that bunch of trash are simply not on the same level. A cloud of white mist rose from Baek Woo-hyun's hand, making his meaning perfectly clear. No need. The blonde man instantly panicked. Wait, there's more than that. Foolish man, do you think everything will be over once you kill me? The organization will never let any enemy go. Not just you, your family, your relatives, your colleagues. We will destroy them all. Baek Woo-hyun had come here to kill him in the first place, so there was no way he would care about that kind of threat. The white-haired man looked even worse, saying the blood had splashed all over him. He still had questions he wanted to ask the blonde man, but Baek Woo-hyun killed him outright. But Baek Woo-hyun had not listened to what they were arguing about at all. His gaze had been fixed on the pop-up from beginning to end. Special mission bug fix complete. All special missions have been completed. The promised reward will now be issued. Return to the original world? Baek Woo-hyun's fingers trembled as they slowly reached toward yes. He could finally be free. But at that very instant, countless voices exploded in his mind. Woo-hyun, where are you going? Have you forgotten us? What about those who are still alive? Please, go kill them. Revenge. Continue the revenge. Take revenge cruelly. Baek Woo-hyun felt as though he were suffocating. He had done enough. He was truly exhausted. At that moment, the white-haired man placed a hand on his shoulder. Baek Woo-hyun, what are you spacing out for? I'm going back to my original world. The white-haired man looked utterly confused. What original world? What are you talking about? Weren't you someone who belonged here from the very beginning? Tell them for me. I'm sorry. In the end, he still pressed yes. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself lying on his side in bed. This was actually his room. He had never expected that he would truly come back. He picked up his phone and saw that the date was still the very day he had been pulled into the game. In other words, he had spent 10 years over there, while not even a second had passed here. In the mirror, his scars were gone, his muscles were gone too, as if everything had only been a dream. But the images in his mind were so real they cut to the bone. Sua's despair. The director's threats, those could not possibly have been a dream. If he called it a dream, the sensations and memories were far too vivid. There was no doubt that the 10 years he had spent over there were real. Just then, his phone rang, and the caller ID showed, Yang Nayan. That name felt strangely familiar to him. The next second, a shout came from the other end. Baek Woo-hyun, why aren't you replying? Don't tell me you forgot about our date? Date? Yeah, didn't we agree to meet tonight? I'll send you the address, so hurry over. With that, she hung up right away. Only then did Baek Woo-hyun remember. She was his closest classmate in the same department, and also the main culprit who had talked him into playing Reverse Planet in the first place. If she had not kept pestering and begging him, he would never have touched the game. He even wondered whether Yang Nayan knew everything and had done it on purpose, but he immediately rejected that thought. Right now, the most important thing was to meet her first and talk later. The moment he walked in, Yang Nayan excitedly waved at him. It really has been a long time. This is the first time we've met since vacation started, right? Want a drink? Baek Woo-hyun said he was in a bad mood today and did not want to drink. The real reason was that, in his current state, if he got drunk, he had no idea what he might do. What's wrong? Then let's just eat. Looking at the pork belly sizzling on the grill, this already counted as a luxury for them. At that moment, Yang Nayan took the initiative and asked, did you play Reverse Planet? Didn't you say you'd at least go through the beginner tutorial once? I had just finished creating my character, and right after I watched the opening cutscene, I got dragged in. She only caught the words opening cutscene and immediately became dissatisfied. What the heck? Then that basically means you didn't play it at all. Baek Woo-hyun felt his heart turn cold as he listened. Basically didn't play it at all? Come to think of it, because of who exactly did I live in hell for 10 years, if it weren't for you? I was super excited, because you promised you'd come be a regular guest on my stream. Weren't you a top-ranked arena player before? For a small streamer like me, if you just showed even half your skills, I could blow up. Baek Woo-hyun was stunned too. A streamer? She really did seem to mention wanting to do game streams. He finally understood why Yang Nayan had kept clinging to him and insisting they play together. But he did not remember ever promising anything like that. You did say you'd come at least once, didn't you? At that moment, Baek Woo-hyun truly felt it. He really had come back. After returning home, Baek Woo-hyun immediately went online to look things up. The address of Reverse Planet's development company was in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. He then let out a sigh. Even if he went to the headquarters, so what? Even if he said he had been transported by the game into another world, he would only be treated like a madman. More frightening still, if they really were connected to it, would that not mean he was delivering himself right to their door? If he rashly provoked them, who knew what kind of retaliation he might face? He did not even know what exactly he was doing anymore. Since he had already escaped that hell, why keep investigating? The best way was to forget everything from over there. After all, this was his original world. From that day on, Baek Woo-hyun began going to school on time and coming home on time, forcing himself to return to the life of an ordinary person. As a student, he should have been enjoying campus life. But had he really come back? Is this kind of life your reality? Baek Woo-hyun was so startled that he whipped his head around. But his classmates were still quietly studying, as if nothing had happened. Yet the next second, he saw everyone turn into black shadows, and the world seemed to be violently displaced. Those voices rang in his head again. Avenge them, revenge, brutal revenge. This is not where you belong. Go kill those bastards. Baek Woo-hyun immediately rushed out of the classroom. His classmates had no idea what had suddenly gotten into him. Then a hand landed on his shoulder. Are you okay? He was startled on the spot. He almost instinctively grabbed that hand. And with a powerful yank, he threw out a punch in an instant, as if he were fighting a monster. His classmate was horrified. What are you doing? That shout yanked him back to reality, and he hurriedly clenched his hand. Sorry. His classmates could see that something was wrong with him, and he himself was even more afraid. At that moment, all he wanted was to be alone in peace, but those voices came again. Woo-hyun, enough, come back quickly. Have you forgotten us? You have to avenge us. Just then, Young Nayeon suddenly appeared beside him. Woo-hyun, your face looks awful. You've been absent-minded this whole time lately. What's wrong with you? Baek Woo-hyun did not want her to worry, so he forced himself to say he was fine. Young Nayeon could tell he did not want to talk, so she did not press him. If that's what you say, but if something really is wrong, tell your Nuna. I'll help you. Hearing those words, he instead calmed down. Then let's go in. I'm the one who brought these spirits back. If this will only end once they are satisfied, then I can only try to finish it. He looked at the game capsule in front of him and lay down directly inside, because he understood that if he kept delaying, there would be no difference between this side and that side. Go back. This time, I have to bring things to a real end. The next second, a mechanical voice rang out. Welcome to Reverse Planet. Baek Woo-hyun recognized it at a glance. This was the Institute's waiting room. So I entered the game directly? But the him from that other world could not possibly return to the Institute. He could not figure out why he could not go back to that world. He had finally made up his mind to return to hell. Or was there still some condition missing? At that moment, a pop-up window appeared. Do you wish to confirm the current character appearance? He thought he might as well finish the beginner tutorial first. Maybe once the tutorial ended, he would be able to go back. He directly set the combat assist to 0, because in the other world, even without assist, he had still crushed everything in his path. Next came the selection of the first psychic core element. Here, psychic abilities could be reset at any time. Reverse Planet's psychic ability system worked by first choosing a core element, then using various sub-elements to strengthen the character and complete the design. A psychic ability combination that linked everything from the core element to the sub-elements was called a build. Because the elements were so vast, there were even people in the professional league who specialized in studying builds, and they were called professional builders. And this was the key to how he got the title of superhuman. Core element selection complete. Immediately afterward, the announcement sounded. Test subject number 48. So the game did not show the process before awakening. He could understand that. After all, no one would want to specially experience that kind of thing in a game, unless they had masochistic tendencies. The moment he stepped inside, his heart sank. He would recognize that thing even if it were burned to ashes. Etanu, a killing machine created to suppress berserk awakened subjects in the Transcender project, and also the culprit that had taken countless test subjects' lives. Beginner Tutorial Mission 01. Eliminate Etanu. Please use your manifested psychic ability to fight Etanu. But judging from its structure, this should be an early version. Those humiliating memories of his instantly came surging back. There were too many test subjects who had died at its hands to count. It teleported and charged toward Baek Woo-hyun. Baek Woo-hyun rolled his wrists. Whether on this side or that side, the rotten rules were the same. As expected, the researchers had never done anything except create disgusting things. He tilted his head and dodged Ediner's punch. But Ediner's offensive came wave after wave. The order it had received was to eliminate everyone who entered the room. But no matter how it attacked, Baek Woo-hyun could dodge with ease. Baek Woo-hyun seized an opening and struck its chest with one palm. The final version of Edino could even use psychic abilities, so it was indeed troublesome. But the one before him was nothing more than an incomplete early model. That single palm strike blasted it into pieces. The experiment ends here. The level Baek Woo-hyun displayed this time has already far surpassed the psychic aptitude of ordinary test subjects. Baek Woo-hyun was almost impatient, wanting to enter the next experiment immediately. A warning siren suddenly blared. To all innocent victims trapped in the Institute, please immediately flee outside with everything you have. So the government had intervened. The woman could not understand how government people had gotten here, and Baek Woo-hyun felt the voice sounded vaguely familiar. Beginner Tutorial Mission 02. Escape the Institute. Please find a way to leave the Institute and flee to the outer area. The next second, an explosion sounded overhead. Baek Woo-hyun realized that he had to get out first. He ran with all his might. After the explosion stopped, the corridor had already become ruins. Edinu's severed limbs were scattered all over the ground. He looked at the man leaning against the wall and saw a symbol of the Interdimensional Management Bureau on his clothes. It seemed he was not an enemy. You're a victim too, right? The fact that you made it this far means you want to escape as well, correct? Good. I might be able to help you. Then he opened a device that looked like an armory. Pick whatever you want from here and take one with you. And take this too, once you get outside. Use it to send a radio signal, and people from the Bureau will come pick you up. As soon as he finished speaking, he died. Baek Woo-hyun paused for a moment and began choosing. He suspected this was only a scripted sequence arranged by the game. But he did not notice that an Edinu had already appeared behind him. In the end, he chose a scythe with an iron chain attached. But his mood was terrible. He had no idea what exactly was going on. At this time, a game streamer named Kong Soil also logged into the game, and she said in its undertone, "I can't believe I have to play a mainstream national game like Reverse Planet. The pride of a niche game lover is crying." The comments in the stream were lively too. At least she knows she's niche. You picked the mainstream game yourself though. She just got into this national masterpiece and that's her reaction? I really don't get it. Who held a knife to your throat and forced you to play Reverse Planet as punishment? Kong Soil was instantly irritated when she saw it. It's not like I decided on this punishment. You people were the ones who chose it, okay? Still, since she had agreed to it, she had to follow through. She always doted on her viewers and never broke promises she made with them. But the viewers came at her head on. How many times have you said next time you'd play a truly popular game? Last time you also said mainstream, and then you pulled out another niche hidden gem. Don't roast her too hard either, or who's going to stream niche games for us? Kong Soil had good emotional control and did not get angry. She simply said at her own pace, "So now I'm carrying out the punishment for failing the clear challenge and giving Reverse Planet a little taste." The viewers were not stupid. They knew she was changing the subject. As a newcomer starting the game, she went through the standard process. She kept her original appearance and chose fire as her psychic ability because it looked cool. Last came the percentage-based combat assist system, and the explanation was very clear. Combat assist would provide all-around help in battle through posture correction, movement assistance, psychic usage correction, and other methods. The higher the percentage, the greater the help, and it could be adjusted freely. Her fans immediately began throwing out terrible ideas. It has to be 0%. No assist only. Kong Soil did not get carried away. First she thought, was it even possible to clear the beginner tutorial with no assist? She had done her research. Among players worldwide, the proportion of people who chose no assist was practically 0%. The controls she had developed through playing niche games were not bad, but she had heard that no assist felt like suddenly having a third hand you were expected to control, and she felt it was simply impossible. These fans just wanted to watch her embarrass herself. She immediately started acting cute. Guys, no assist is a bit too. But the very next second, a mission popped up. Clear the beginner tutorial with no assist. Reward, 500,000 won. Her expression changed instantly, her eyes filled with money, and she pretended to be serious. Only by taking on a challenge can you be called a streamer. The fans were not stupid either and immediately started mocking her. The mission pops up and suddenly she changes her tune. Capital, the undead spirit of capitalism. Kong Soil looked as if she had been injected with a stimulant. Until I clear the beginner tutorial, I'll use no assist the entire time. But she regretted it very quickly. Guys, am I really doing the right thing? The moment she walked in, she was instantly killed by Edenu. She was so mad her eyes turned red. There had been no explanation at all. It attacked the moment it appeared and even ambushed her. Some fans comforted her too. Lasting 2 minutes is already amazing. Even plenty of pro players lose to it. But Kong Soil did not give up. She had already gotten the radio and the weapon. So as long as she escaped, that should be enough, right? At that moment, she also received Beginner Tutorial Mission 02. Escape the Institute as a team. Team matching in progress automatically. A 4-person team is recommended. Her eyes lit up. Teaming up sounds good. If I clear it together with matched teammates, that still counts as completing the mission, right? The comments immediately started arguing. Isn't that basically getting carried? Of course riding someone's coattails is allowed. If you knew how the matching worked, you wouldn't say that. Anyway, she won't match with anyone. Sure enough, the system prompted, match failed. Kong Soil was dumbfounded on the spot. How could it fail? See? I told you it wouldn't work. But why exactly? Matching only finds people with the same combat assist percentage. Who would use no assist to clear the tutorial? So the teammates she can match with would all be no assist too? At that moment, Kong Soil even wanted to cancel the mission. But in the very next second, a miracle happened. The team match succeeded. She let out a scream and frantically hit cancel, but it was already too late. You are about to join a beginner tutorial mission already in progress. It was over. The moment she arrived at the mission location, she was stunned. New corpses were strewn across the ground in all directions. She even wondered whether her eyes were playing tricks on her. Guys, this really doesn't seem like a joke. The stream was dumbfounded too. What is going on? Was this really done by a no-assist team? That's insane. Is it a pro player on a Smith? Even more terrifying was that these were not killed with guns. No-assist players did not even have guns, yet they had killed so many Adneus. Kong Soil instantly grew excited. At this pace, I'm getting carried for free. I need to find this boss-level player right now. At this moment, Baek Woohyun took down several more Adneus. Suddenly, his gaze locked onto a certain direction. Kong Soil was sneaking over in a suspiciously furtive way. The person here? Before she could finish, a blood-stained blade was suddenly held across her eyes. Kong Soil froze on the spot, and the next second, she jumped aside in fright. After confirming that she was not an enemy, Baek Woohyun withdrew the blade. Sorry, I mistook you for someone else. He turned and started to leave. Wait, I think we got matched as teammates. Can we go together? Before he could answer, Kong Soil followed after him. My name is Kong Soil, I'm a personal live streamer. Oh, right, I'm streaming right now. Do you mind being on camera? I have privacy protection mode on, so your face will be covered. Baek Woohyun suddenly stopped, and Kong Soil's heart tightened, thinking he was about to get angry. But the next second, someone rushed out shouting, "It's an escape test subject. Kill him, no need to take him alive." Immediately afterward, gunfire erupted. Kong Soil was so frightened that she crouched down with her head in her arms. How can the beginner tutorial be this brutal? But what she saw next was something she would never forget for the rest of her life. Baek Woohyun was actually dodging bullets with pure speed and movement. His actions so exaggerated they felt unreal. The chain scythe in his hands moved as if it were alive. A machine gun barrage could not suppress a cold weapon at all. It completely defied common sense. The live stream exploded instantly. What kind of monster is this now? Kong Soil no longer cared about looking embarrassed and seriously asked from the side, I don't know Reverse Planet that well, but this kind of play is totally abnormal, right? How do you use a weapon like that with no assist? Yeah, this is way too abnormal. What am I even watching? Does anyone know what ability that boss has? Even his eye color turned white. It looks like wind, but not exactly. Whatever it is, if I meet him in PvP, I'm just getting crushed. The only core element that changes your eye color to boost physical ability is Perfect Being. Kong Soil was a little surprised. Isn't that the one people call trash and tell you to avoid because it makes you unable to use abilities? That's why we're saying this makes no sense. Perfect Being was one of Reverse Planet's many core elements. Because of that negative effect, it was legendary trash in the player community. It greatly boosted physical ability and resistance to psychic powers, but made it impossible to use any psychic skills. And on the Reverse Spacetime forum, Perfect Being had long ranked first on the must blacklist core elements list. Why would anyone even make this kind of garbage? Kong Soil felt that evaluation was reasonable too. In a game centered on psychic powers, who could understand choosing a build that could not use any abilities? Some people even said they had never seen anyone choose Perfect Being after playing for so long. Someone had gotten curious and tried it once, then screamed and deleted their character. And Perfect Being had another trait, your eyes turned white. Of course, some people guessed that in no assist mode, boosting physical ability might actually be stronger. After all, it was hard to use psychic powers without assist, so giving up skills entirely and dumping all your points into the body could count as a strategy. But Kong Soil still could not understand. Baek Woohyun should only be level 1 right now. How could he possibly pull off movements like that? Just who was this man? She had never seen a player this fierce. With just a chainsaw, he had slaughtered them all. It was like the god of death descending. But the voices of the dead still kept pressing him. Woohyun, take your revenge more cruelly. This still isn't enough. Just then, one straggler appeared soundlessly. His gun barrel aimed straight at him. Kong Soil dashed in front of Baek Woohyun and pulled the trigger, and 3 bullets directly interrupted the ambusher's movement. The attacker trembled in rage. One tiny oversight ruined everything. Even while down on the ground, Kong Soil fired one more shot. The ambusher dropped dead on the spot. Kong Soil even remembered to strike a pose and casually blew on the gun barrel. The live stream instantly hit a new peak, with praise flooding in. Kong Soil turned to look at Baek Woohyun. Well, that counts as helping, right? That scene stabbed into Baek Woohyun's memories once again. And he seemed to see a girl happily running toward him. Brother Woohyun. At that moment, Kong Soil interrupted him. Mr. Hard Carry? That title made Baek Woohyun pause. You're not mad, right? Of course I know Mr. Hard Carry was the one who did all the work. I just leached a little experience. No, you really did help. The live stream became lively again. He's way too gentle. Even though we can't see his face, I somehow feel like he's handsome. Seeing how easygoing he was, Kong Soil pressed on. Really? Then can we do the beginner tutorial together? I'll do my absolute best to help. Baek Woohyun simply nodded. Then, Mr. Hard Carry, Woohyun could not listen to that anymore. Just call me Woohyun. Okay, Mr. Woohyun. She guessed that might be his real name, because that part probably could not be filtered. But she still could not help asking, if it's not rude, was the core element you chose at the start Perfect Being? Baek Woohyun admitted it directly, since there was nothing to hide. The live stream erupted again. It really is Perfect Being? Then this core element needs to be re-evaluated. Kong Soil was also too shocked to speak, envious to the point of sourness. Without abilities, how did you dodge bullets? What games do you usually play? I don't have any games I especially like. After saying that, he suddenly stopped. About 20 meters ahead, there are 2 Aeneas. Kong Soil froze. He did not have any long-range detection ability, so how could he know the enemy's location and number 20 meters away? That was way too abnormal. Baek Woohyun told her not to overthink it and just follow him. When she saw that there really were 2 Aeneas ahead, her whole body jolted. Baek Woohyun seemed to recall something. Come to think of it, I did play Colosseum a lot. Kong Soil was speechless. Don't talk about that now. It's dangerous ahead, stop. The moment her words fell, Baek Woohyun blinked forward in an instant and appeared right in front of the Aeneas. With one kick, he sent an Aeneas flying. That single strike kicked one Aeneas into a pile of parts. At his craziest back then, he had even fought his way onto the rankings. He clenched his fist again, and smashed it into the other Aeneas, the impact so strong that even the air seemed to shake. The livestream viewers went completely mad. This is insane, it just got one shot like that? Is this what a top Colosseum player can do? Kong Soil still did not understand. Could top Colosseum players really be that strong? Someone immediately explained. Not sure about now, but back then, if you were a top Colosseum player, pro teams would come scout you directly. That's how Player Battler entered the pro scene. Kong Soil recognized that name. Isn't Battler the most famous person in the Reverse Planet Pro scene? Since Baek Woohyun came from Coliseum, had he ever fought Battler? She could not help imagining it. If Mr. Hard Carry and Battler fought in Reverse Planet PvP, who would be more terrifying? After dealing with the two Aeneas, Baek Woohyun did not stop and continued pushing forward. Very soon, they arrived at the Institute's exit. A rough, overbearing voice rang in their ears. "You actually crawled all the way here? Too bad, you're about to die right here." This man was an old acquaintance of Baek Woohyun's, the head of the Institute security team, and the beginner tutorial boss. That arrogant attitude of his had not changed at all. "Don't worry, you'll soon get to see those companions of yours who went ahead first." The moment he saw him, Baek Woohyun understood. The beginner tutorial's final stage was right here. But the next second, he saw something unbelievable. Countless spirits were crawling out from behind the security captain, yet the man himself did not notice at all. The expressions on those spirits looked like they wanted to devour someone alive. The security captain had already launched his attack. "You're not leaving this place alive." Kong Soil immediately raised her gun and unleashed a burst of fire. But every bullet was deflected by the security captain's barrier. Kong Soil thought it was ridiculous. Wasn't a particle barrier something only awakened people had? People online immediately explained, "Because the security captain is awakened too. You really thought you could clear this with a gun? Way too naive." Seeing that a direct clash was useless, Kong Soil immediately retreated to the rear. "I'll provide covering fire from the back." Of course the viewers would not let her off. The moment she saw she couldn't win, she started yelling Mr. Hard Carry. What a legendary speedrun of switching attitudes. That's fine too. Even if it's only in the game, as long as it gives you a little satisfaction. Baek Woohyun threw a punch, and the particle barrier that bullets could not even leave a mark on was actually smashed inward. The security captain was sent flying backward and hit the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Kong Soil stared in shock. What kind of monster was this? How could the security captain ever endure that kind of humiliation? "You insect." He immediately switched into a new form, Body of Steel, which was his ability. After several leaps, he lunged at Baek Woohyun. "I'll tear you to pieces." Baek Woohyun easily dodged the deadly punch. Missing his target, the security captain roared, "How long do you think you can keep dodging?" The next second, one of his arms transformed directly into a high-speed drill. Wherever the drill swept past, the walls shattered and stone fragments flew everywhere. Baek Woohyun could not keep dodging forever. He clenched his fist and swung a punch across the security captain's iron-plated face, smashing his goggles to pieces. The security captain dropped to his knees and coughed several times, and his steel form actually began to release. But Baek Woohyun spoke coldly, "Don't release it. You don't get to die that easily yet." But the spirits clamored in his ear like a death sentence. "Kill him, tear him apart, just like what happened to us back then." No, even more cruelly than that. The security captain's face was full of terror. "How can a test subject like you have this kind of power?" Baek Woohyun looked down at him. "I have you to thank for all of this." At this moment, Kong Soil had completely become a spectator. System message, Institute security captain defeated. What exactly did we just see? The viewers were even more upset. Why does there have to be a Mr. Hard Carry right now? I was waiting to see the streamer crash and burn. Let's go. As Baek Woohyun took a step, the spirits wrapped themselves around the security captain's corpse, as if trying to drag him into hell. After walking out of the Institute, Kong Soil finally let out a sigh of relief too. Tutorial mission escape the Institute complete. Level increased. Gained 1 psychic point. Mr. Woohyun, are you going to keep pushing the main story today? That's it for today. Seeing the stream was about to end, the viewers hurried to roast her. This streamer is shameless. Forbes ranking, streamer best at freeloading. Kong Soil did not care in the slightest. Anyway, the mission to clear the beginner tutorial with no assist was a success. Today was fun too, see you tomorrow. Seeing that Baek Woohyun still had not left, Kong Soil immediately spoke up. "Could you appear on my stream regularly?" "Appear on your stream?" A drop of cold sweat appeared on Baek Woohyun's forehead. "Yes, we can push Reverse Planet's main story together, and sometimes do PvP too. The schedule will be completely according to your availability, and I'll pay your appearance fee properly as well." Kong Soil looked at him with full anticipation. But Baek Woohyun refused directly, and Kong Soil looked a little disappointed. "I understand. Looking at your expression, I know there's no point trying to persuade you, but at least add me as a friend, okay?" She was preparing to end the stream. "I had fun playing with you today. I wish you smooth progress in Reverse Planet from here on too." At this point, the beginner tutorial was completely over, and only Baek Woohyun was left standing there alone. But what he had been hoping for did not happen. Why still couldn't he go back there? What he did not know was what kind of storm his actions today would set off in the future. At that moment, on the Reverse Spacetime forum, a video was quietly being pushed to the top. Technical post, analyzing why no assist, no firearm footage must be cheating. But the next second, an even more explosive alert appeared. Anonymous viewer number 62 donated 3 million won. How does it feel to be back in reality? The next day, at Planet Earth, the developer of Reverse Planet, in its Korean branch office. Because of this one and only abnormal user, they were facing an unprecedented situation. On the screen, footage of Baek Woo-hyun beating the beginner boss senseless played over and over. No matter how many times they watched it, it was equally absurd. No assist, not even using a weapon, and yet he smashed the security captain. The community atmosphere had already concluded that he was using cheats, and users were flooding the company's internal bulletin board, demanding an explanation. The regional manager had a splitting headache. "You're sure it's not cheats?" The blonde-haired guy answered crisply, "Sure. To be safe, we checked every bit of data from the moment the account was created, and there's absolutely no sign of tampering by any external program. Besides, I've seen countless cheaters. Some run around through walls, some just turn invisible. But I've never seen movements like these before. It's completely unreasonable, even cheats couldn't imitate it." There was even jealousy in the blonde-haired guy's tone. If it's not cheating, then the only explanation is that this guy is insane. But we also can't rule out the tiny possibility that it's some new cheat we failed to detect. The regional manager nodded. No matter what, they had to conduct a thorough verification. At this time, in a cold dessert shop, Baek Woo-hyun was on a date with Yong Na-yeon. "So you're saying the whole community exploded because of me?" Baek Woo-hyun still found it hard to believe. "Yeah, it's complete chaos already. Players have even started doing no-assist challenges among themselves. The forum has directly branded you a cheater. If you're not cheating, it can't be done. Since everyone else failed, now everyone's convinced you're hacking. Do you know how shocked I was the first time I saw that video? You even used your real name." Baek Woo-hyun could not understand it. The stream clearly had privacy protection on, and he was even wearing a mask, so Yong Na-yeon could not possibly have recognized him. "You said your own name, and I've seen you fight before. Honestly, I knew you were strong, but I never imagined you were this strong. If someone didn't know you, they really would think it was cheating." "I see, so that's where that connection came from." "What connection?" "Planet Earth Korea contacted me. They said they want to verify whether you use cheats." At that moment, a message from Kong Soil arrived. With no other choice, Baek Woo-hyun could only say, "It was relayed through that streamer." Yong Na-yeon instantly turned into a gossip-loving bystander. The game company stepping in personally to verify cheating had maxed out the drama value. "So, are you going?" Baek Woo-hyun did want to go. Even if it was only the Korean branch, it was still his only chance to make contact with the developer. If he could draw out someone higher up, maybe he could get clues about that world. "I originally said I'd think about it, but I've decided to give it a try." Yong Na-yeon was even more excited than he was. "That's great. If you're going to keep playing, you should clear this up before you continue. After all, no one can stand being called a cheater wherever they go." "I don't care. Besides, would anyone even recognize me? My face wasn't shown on the stream." Baek Woo-hyun was still holding on to a bit of wishful thinking. Yong Na-yeon crushed that fantasy with a single sentence. "They would, even if you changed your name. Your fighting style is too distinctive. There's no hiding it. A playstyle like yours that doesn't use abilities, you won't find a second one even in the pro scene." Lately, a lot of pro and semi-pro players try to hide their identities, but in the end they still get exposed because of their fighting habits. Because those details they themselves don't even notice end up revealing everything. Still, it's a good thing you agreed. Otherwise that streamer would definitely get roasted to death. Baek Woo-hyun understood it even less now. He was him, and Kong Soil was Kong Soil. They were not related at all. Idiot. To the people who are already fighting over cheating, do you think that matters? At first they'll only curse you, but soon enough they'll start directing the flames at her too. Baek Woo-hyun could only feel that the internet was truly terrifying. He then replied to Kong Soil's message, "Accept the verification." Kong Soil was so happy it felt unreal, and she just stared blankly at her phone screen. If this type continues, the audience is definitely going to explode, right? Her highest live viewer count before had only been 8,584. She could not help laughing under her breath. Get ready to be shocked. This will be something Reverse Planet has never shown before. Right after that, she posted an announcement, cheating clarification stream to be held. For days later, Baek Woo-hyun logged into the game again. Kong Soil immediately went up to greet him. "Brother Woo-hyun, these past few days must have been really hard on you, right? It feels like all of this happened because of me. I'm sorry. It's fine. I don't really care. More importantly, Soil, don't you suspect me?" Kong Soil hurriedly denied it. "I saw your movements with my own eyes that day, and the so-called cheating evidence everyone brought out is pretty weak too. Most importantly, that look in your eyes, like you actually wanted to kill someone. It made me unable to think of cheats at all." Only after saying it did she realize she had let something slip. "I mean, it's just intuition." She took out the camera. "Anyway, if you're ready, I'll start the stream." Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Kong Soil even made a peace sign as part of her opening. The viewers had long since run out of patience. Hurry up and explain. I can't wait anymore. Is this a live stream for selling cheats? Just as she had expected, the stream broke 10,000 viewers as soon as it started, and even she had to admit the hype was absurd. This also shows how much attention everyone is paying to the cheating controversy. So once again, I've invited Mr. Wooyan here. The moment Baek Wooyan appeared, insults flooded the screen. A cheater still dares to stream. Others fought back. If he's not cheating, how are you planning to apologize? Kong Soil could not stand it. Please follow chat etiquette. If it gets too excessive, I'll turn the chat off. Before the official verification begins, Mr. Wooyan, what do you think about this controversy? I think it's ridiculous. People can make this big of a fuss over something at justice level? With that one sentence, he set the viewers off again. At justice level? You practically broke the game and you're saying just this level? The cheater's putting on airs now too. Even Kong Soil felt that the viewers were not entirely wrong on one point. Just this level was indeed way too outrageous. So, for today's verification, we invited a special guest. A man appeared on camera, the very guest she had invited. What was even more explosive was the name above his head, GM. Hello everyone, I'm Park GM-hyun, head of the first operations team at Planet Earth Korea. The viewers were completely stunned. They're serious? The operations team really stepped in just to prove he's not cheating? A trace of hope lit up in Baek Wooyan's eyes. The head of operations really might know something important. After the verification was over, he had to ask clearly. The three of them greeted each other. Thank you for making the trip here. I'm streamer Kong Soil. I'm Baek Wooyan. Park GM-hyun sized Baek Wooyan up. So this is Baek Wooyan, the one who caused all the trouble? He doesn't look like anything special. Now then, please follow me to the verification site. The three of them soon arrived in a metal room, a personal training chamber where one could practice abilities or conduct combat training. As discussed beforehand, the verification would be carried out through multiple rounds of combat observation to confirm whether any external program assistance existed. Baek Wooyan glanced around. I've never seen a space like this in that world. Park GM-hyun looked at Baek Wooyan. Do you agree? I agree. Then this will be simple. The next second, an Edenu appeared. Is that a mid-level Edenu? Is it strong? It's on a completely different level from the early version in the beginner tutorial. We'll start directly with the mid-level training robot. Baek Wooyan's pupils changed instantly as he activated perfect being mode. At that moment, the voices of the dead wrapped around him again. Wooyan, I'm so scared, avenge me. Park GM-hyun stared at the testing tablet and announced the start of the battle. The moment he finished speaking, he was startled, because Baek Wooyan beside him had already disappeared. Immediately afterward, a fragment flew toward him, and he hurriedly raised the tablet to block it, afraid of being hit by the debris. The live stream went crazy again. He's crushing a mid-level Edenu with his bare hands? That thing was fine even after getting smashed away by a giant hammer. Edenu actually looks pitiful. They saw Baek Wooyan standing on top of Edenu, still holding one of its parts in his hand. Park GM-hyun's detection tablet showed no external program interference detected. That meant this could not possibly be cheating. The first round of testing ended, but Park GM-hyun still had not gotten the conclusion he wanted most. No external program was detected in this battle, but the verification time was too short. Could you fight in a way we specify? Since this was originally meant to determine whether he was using an auto-battle cheat, Baek Wooyan had no reason to refuse. An auto-battle cheat was essentially a program playing on the user's behalf, so if they specified a fighting method in advance and he could still do it, that would prove it was not cheating. Park GM-hyun had not expected Baek Wooyan to agree so readily, so he immediately gave the test conditions. Then this time, please use the chain scythe to cut off the heads of 3 mid-level training robots. Baek Wooyan said that was fine. The more quickly Baek Wooyan agreed, the more uneasy Park GM-hyun became. The condition was obviously extremely unfavorable, yet there was no sign at all that he might fail. The next second, 3 Edneus appeared at the same time. They all lunged at Baek Wooyan together, trying to finish him in one strike. But the instant they moved, Baek Wooyan had already blinked to a distant spot. The moment he attacked, the chain scythe drew blood at once. Edenu's body was cut straight through. He merely cast a cold glance back, and the 3 Edneus shattered across the floor, while not a speck of dust had touched the hem of his clothes. A one-strike kill. Kong Soil was trembling with excitement. I told you I didn't misjudge him. The scythe flew like it was alive. You all saw that, right? The viewers flooded the chat. What did I just watch? That chain scythe is so broken. It's not the weapon that's broken, it's the player. Only then did Park GM-hyun snap out of his shock. The data needed for verification was already sufficient. But as an operator, he could not suppress a purely personal curiosity. With only a single core element, could someone really beat an advanced training robot? Even if it was a selfish impulse, he decided, just one final test. As the metal door slowly opened, a pair of blood-red mechanical eyes lit up first. It was actually a female version of Ednu. The viewers could hardly believe it. They even brought that thing out? This is way too much. The devs are going for the kill. If he can beat even this, even the National Certification Association would have to admit he's a humanoid cheat. After all, this is a late-stage version of Edenu. Baek Woo-hyun stood opposite her, calm as stagnant water. He remembered it very clearly. There were too many test subjects killed by this thing to count. At that moment, Edenu even wore a cruel and twisted expression. Thinking of that, murderous intent exploded from Baek Woo-hyun's body in an instant. But Edenu moved first. This was the first time Baek Woo-hyun had been injured. His face was grazed with a line of blood. But passively taking hits had never been his style, and he clenched his fist. As he dodged Edenu's rapid series of punches, the force of the blows broke into sonic booms, and the air itself seemed to explode. Just looking at the cracks in the wall behind him was enough to know, if he took even one punch, he would immediately be sent to join those dead companions of his. As expected, it's more than just one level stronger than the mid-level type. In my current state, my body's toughness isn't enough. My attacks can't break its defense either, and it's absurdly fast. In that case, then I'll keep hitting it until its defense breaks. Kang Soil and Park Ji-hyun were both dumbfounded, and the viewers thought he had gone mad. Does this make any sense? He'll die if he gets hit once, but it still can't land a blow on him. Park Ji-hyun had not expected that someone could really hold off an advanced training robot head-on using only a single core element. It had even looked like he was at a disadvantage at first, but as the fight went on, he reversed the pressure and gained the upper hand. This was no longer a question of whether it was reasonable, it was simply a fact. He felt there was no need to keep observing, and he tapped the screen. The next second, Edenu's figure vanished directly from in front of Baek Woo-hyun. Baek Woo-hyun was stunned. He had not finished beating it yet, and had even wanted to torture it to death. Park Ji-hyun walked up to him. We've collected all the data needed for verification. The training robot has been removed. Only then did Baek Woo-hyun understand why Edenu had suddenly disappeared. Kang Soil immediately pressed for an answer. What's the result? The viewers were spamming too. What's the result? It has been confirmed that there was no external program interference at all. In simple terms, not cheating. A small number of people still could not accept that someone else was stronger than they were. Then why isn't it cheating? Why exactly? Kang Soil finally let out the breath she had been holding. I told you, it's not cheating. Is anyone still doubting it now? If the official said so, what is there to doubt? People always said cheat-level skills before, but this time it's actually real. Cheat-level skills? Kang Soil's eyes lit up. That phrasing is good. Anyway, everyone remember this, Woo-hyun isn't cheating. He's just so strong that it looks like cheating. Alright, the verification is over. Could I ask each of you for one final comment? Baek Woo-hyun only tossed out one sentence. Good work. Park Ji-hyun smiled and said that today had been very interesting. Then today's stream ends here. See you next time. Judging from the data, the viewership had exceeded 100,000, and the viewers were clearly still not satisfied. Thank you both again for allowing me to take part in the stream. No, I'm the one who should thank you for so readily accepting the verification request. Especially you, Woo-hyun. After saying that, he prepared to log out of the game. But Woo-hyun stopped him. Please wait a moment. There's something I want to ask. Park Ji-hyun was taken aback at first. I want to ask, are there any bugs in the game? For example, cases where a bug caused someone to be unable to log out of the game? Park Ji-hyun looked baffled. This was the first time he had ever heard of such a thing. I've never heard of it. If there really were such a fatal bug, Reverse Planet could never have become a world-class game. I see. Understood. Woo-hyun still did not get the answer. With a flash of particle light, Park Ji-hyun logged out. Kang Soil let out a long breath. It was finally over. You really worked hard today. Also, I want to settle your share of the stream revenue. Can I contact you again later? Baek Woo-hyun felt the money was unnecessary, but staying in contact was fine. But he did not know that Kang Soil still had a little scheme in mind. Letting him go just like this would be too much of a waste. An instant hit was standing right in front of her. Do you still have something you want to say? But in the end, Kang Soil still did not dare say it aloud. After all, this time she had only dared to ask for help up to the point of a clarification, so she just said it was nothing and that she would contact him next time. Looking at the pop-up window, Baek Woo-hyun felt he had gained even less than expected and was a little disappointed. At that moment, Young Nayeon sent a message. The stream's over, right? Come straight to the combat prep room. Young Nayeon looked eager for gossip. So how did the stream feel? The forum reaction is exploding. You're completely famous now. Baek Woo-hyun still was not used to it. He had to watch the chat window and keep talking while playing at the same time, which felt extremely uncomfortable. Really? Then let me ask you this. If I don't have to watch the chat and can just play by myself, would that be okay? Baek Woo-hyun could not tell what she was trying to do. I'll set everything up for you. Just try it once before deciding. Baek Woo-hyun had not expected to be forced into working again. He had never wanted to stream in the first place. Then it's about time to go play PvP, right? Young Nayeon was, as always, deciding things on her own. PvP was short for player versus player, meaning player battles. Alongside PvE, it was one of Reverse Planet's 2 core gameplay modes. PvP? You suddenly called me to the combat prep room just for this? Of course. Are you really going to quit Reverse Planet without even playing one match with me? That's too hurtful. It's not that. I just don't think this game suits me, so I'm planning not to play for a while. Going back to that distant world too. But Young Nayeon grabbed him tightly. PvP is the true essence of Reverse Planet. Don't draw conclusions after only clearing the beginner tutorial. Baek Woo-hyun felt she had a point. The PvE story mode was almost exactly the same as that side, but PvP was full of things he had never seen before, so maybe there would be different clues. Then let me explain PvP to you. The first type is duel, a one-on-one fight against a matched opponent, with 1v1 and 2v2, best of 3. The second type is conflict, one random mode out of capture, contest, escort, and annihilation, fixed as a 5v5 team battle. Today we're playing survival. 100 players are dropped into multiple zones to search for gear and kill each other, and the last surviving individual or team wins the battle royale. Since it's your first time, we'll start with duo queue. Also, PvP requires a build, so I'll recommend one for you. Baek Woo-hyun said there was no need. He happened to know a build already, the same one that had earned him over there the collective title of superhuman. While you're connecting, I'll assign the points for you. Then I'll get ready right away. Military Base, one of the PvP survival maps, had a dense distribution of high-tier equipment. High-level players gathered there in droves, making it unsuitable for beginners. Young Nayeon started fussing again. Can I record us playing PvP? I want to post it on short-form video platforms. Baek Woo-hyun looked disgusted and told her to stay farther away. You can record, just calm down. Okay, then I'll connect right away. He truly could not understand why she was so excited. Young Nayeon pressed the button. A pop-up appeared. Starting point set to Area 1, Military Base. Time until start, 60 seconds. Young Nayeon raised her hand in salute. See you alive. Soon after, Baek Woo-hyun appeared inside an abandoned building, and a man in green clothes spawned beside him. This guy had not yet realized the danger. Third floor corridor? There's no good loot here. We need to rotate fast. Before he could finish speaking, Baek Woo-hyun was already standing behind him. The next second, flames burst skyward, and Young Nayeon stared at the pop-up. Baek Woo-hyun killed Lucky Day. Young Nayeon had not expected him to get a kill right at the start. As expected, it was Chi-tier skill. Immediately afterward, several more pop-ups appeared in succession. Watching the kill feed refresh non-stop, Young Nayeon was completely shocked. What exactly was Baek Woo-hyun doing? Another player named Slime Monster fell, with a fatal wound in the chest. Baek Woo-hyun suspected there were no living players left in this area, because he could no longer sense anyone else's presence. But he had not expected to run into 4 people directly as he went downstairs. But to him, that only meant a few more moves. He sent them all off like chopping vegetables. After all, if teammates were going, they might as well go together neatly. The looting's over, then I'll head out slowly. But at that moment, he received a distress call from Young Nayeon. Help me. There are too many enemies. I'm surrounded. Baek Woo-hyun looked at the shared map. She was across the street, not close. But he still immediately replied, I'm coming now. Where are you in the building? I'm on the 3rd floor rooftop, but the fighting downstairs is brutal. It feels like every floor is exchanging fire, so be careful. The moment Baek Woo-hyun went downstairs, he ran into 2 people, and both were startled on the spot. What the hell is with that guy? How is he so fast? They could not understand it at all. One of them immediately told his teammate to prepare an ability while he held him off. But before he could finish speaking, Baek Woo-hyun had already sent him to meet death and casually chopped off one of his arms too. A pop-up appeared. Baek Woo-hyun killed Tiger Sign. The player beside him wore a face of utter disbelief. What is this? A physical enhancement type that also invested in agility? Purple-black mist rose from both his hands. He slammed his hands hard onto the ground, and the purple-black mist formed a forest of spikes stretching more than 10 meters across the floor. As the attack came, Baek Woo-hyun leaped in a single step, as if setting up for a backflip. The instant he landed, he had already killed the man. Even in death, the man could not understand it. How had he predicted that far ahead? After dealing with the 2 of them, Baek Woo-hyun did not stop even for a moment and immediately broke into a light run to keep going. Young Nayeon was still waiting. Soon, the next unlucky one appeared, a short-haired blonde with the ID by me fried chicken. He soon arrived in front of the building where Young Nayeon was. Young Nayeon had not expected him to arrive so quickly and even put on a show by asking whether he needed support, but Baek Woo-hyun told her to stay where she was and not move. He grabbed the door lock, and sensed how many people were inside. About 5. The moment he pushed the door open, one person was already waiting behind it with a weapon. As soon as Baek Woo-hyun entered, the other man showed a twisted smile. The next second, he swung his blade down, but Baek Woo-hyun moved later and arrived first, grabbing his wrist in one motion. The man's expression changed instantly. Then it was like being hit by a truck. This single punch sent him straight out of the game. But Baek Woo-hyun was not too satisfied. His speed still had to become faster. With several leaps, he rushed upstairs. Another wave of pop-ups flooded in. He killed 4 people in one go. Young Nayeon stared blankly from the rooftop. This is too ridiculous. He's just bullying newbies. But the next second, she jolted in shock, and the weapon in her hand swept out without hesitation, crackling with electricity. It turned out Baek Woo-hyun had already arrived, and of course her strike was easily dodged by him. At this moment, young Nayeon was completely different from her usual self. Holding a chainsaw crackling with electricity, she looked like a real demon. It was Baek Woo-hyun's first time seeing that side of her, and he even felt that maybe he had not needed to come after all. Young Nayeon gave an awkward smile. This was the only weapon left nearby. She immediately changed the subject. So, did you clear out all the enemies in this building? Holding that weapon, she was obviously getting cocky and even righteously declared that from here on, she would carry Baek Woo-hyun. In the end, the two of them took first place in that survival duo match. After that, they played 10 more matches, and every single one was first place. Young Nayeon was exhausted to the point of nearly collapsing. She had not expected that they could really win 10 in a row, and by now she had no strength left to keep streaming, so she could only call it a day. But the way she looked at Baek Woo-hyun had changed. She had thought he was just an ordinary college student, but it turned out he was a humanoid weapon who could tear people apart at any moment. No matter what, she had to drag Baek Woo-hyun into the streaming world. Baek Woo-hyun was completely unaware of it. Young Nayeon started acting pitiful again. Can you, for just 2 days, not touch the main story quests? Wait for me a little. I'll put together a proper streaming plan in these next 2 days. Baek Woo-hyun said he had no interest, and besides, he had not planned to push any main story in the first place. Young Nayeon, being Young Nayeon, directly made the decision for him. Anyway, just hear me out first. I'll prepare thoroughly. See you later. With that, she got out of the car, not giving Baek Woo-hyun any chance to refuse again. Leaving Baek Woo-hyun alone, speechless. This time too, he was disappointed, because even in PvP, he had found no clues at all. At this moment, Kang Soil was lying on her bed scrolling through her phone, feeling perfectly comfortable. She was looking at the Reverse Planet forum, where the hot posts were all about her and Baek Woo-hyun. The more she read, the more excited she became, rolling back and forth on her bed. 100,000 viewers. Will I ever see that a second time in my life? If only I could keep streaming together with God Woo-hyun forever. She even regretted not clinging to him a little harder earlier. But she remembered clearly that Baek Woo-hyun had explicitly said he had no interest in streaming. Right now, the most important thing was to sort out the settlement first and see exactly how much she had earned this time. But the next second, her eyes widened on the spot. The next day, Young Nayeon asked Baek Woo-hyun out again and even brought a laptop along. Baek Woo-hyun looked a little distracted. You suddenly called me out, so I thought something serious had happened. A few beads of cold sweat appeared on Baek Woo-hyun's head. What is this supposed to be? On the screen was a goofy-looking blue cat. What else could it be? This is the PPT I stayed up all night making to persuade you to stream. Baek Woo-hyun was completely speechless. She stayed up all night and this was the quality she came up with? Didn't you say that as long as you don't need to interact with viewers and can just focus on playing, it'd be fine? Baek Woo-hyun didn't remember saying that, but Young Nayeon immediately launched into her pitch. Then what about doing it in the format of an observation-style variety show? Baek Woo-hyun clearly didn't understand. An observation-style variety show is a format where several cast members sit in a studio and watch footage of other people. You play the game, and I'll handle the interaction. If you think I'm not enough by myself, we can even invite a professional commentator. You take 60% of the profits and I take 40. How about it? That's a pretty good deal, right? I said I'm not interested. You just don't know how much money streaming makes. No, wait, didn't you already get a settlement from Soil this time? Only then did Baek Woo-hyun remember that he really had received an email that morning. Because Young Nayeon had rushed him, he still hadn't had time to check it. He opened the email. God Woo-hyun, here's the explanation for your first settlement payment. For just a single stream, Kang Soil had proactively given him 6 million won. Young Nayeon was so jealous it made her sour. 6 million. You still don't feel like streaming after seeing that amount? But what concerned Baek Woo-hyun even more was that there was also a message inside. The next second, Baek Woo-hyun's expression changed drastically. The message was from someone named Anonymous Viewer 62. Hello, Mr. Woo-hyun. It's a pleasure to see you again. How does it feel to be back in reality? I have prepared a new special mission for you. From now on, let's meet through the streams. Attached beneath every message was a large sum of money. Baek Woo-hyun could no longer sit still. He would never forget the number 62 for the rest of his life. He knows I came back from that side. And with a nickname like this, it's as if he's deliberately targeting me as test subject number 62. Baek Woo-hyun shot to his feet. Who on earth knew that I had come back? He stared at Yang Nayeon. Is there any way to find out who the sponsor is? Yang Nayeon froze. Why are you suddenly asking that? Under privacy rules, you normally can't, right? Baek Woo-hyun stared fixedly at his phone. He couldn't send private messages either, and the only channel through which the other party could communicate was probably the live stream itself. So he changed his answer on the spot. He agreed to Yang Nayeon's proposal and said he would stream. The happiness came so suddenly that Yang Nayeon could hardly believe it, so she asked again to confirm. Really? You're not allowed to change your mind later. She immediately posted an announcement. Cheat God will appear on a personal live stream, August 2nd, 2041, 7 p.m. Cast, Cheat God, Chao Song-cheol, Young Nayeon. Friday evening was beautiful, and people enjoyed their rare free time with their own expectations, while those who called themselves gaming geeks all glued themselves to their computers. At this moment, what they were paying the most attention to was the collaborative stream of Baek Woo-hyun and the other two. Who's Young Nayeon? But some people recognized her. She does personal streams. I heard she's Cheat God's friend. By this time, some people had already ordered fried chicken and were just waiting for Cheat God to go live. 5 minutes before the stream, in the relay studio, Yang Nayeon was so nervous that even her hands were trembling. Cha Song-cheol was fairly reliable, and comforted her from the side. Don't worry, you've prepared thoroughly. Nothing will go wrong. Cha Sung-cheol was a professional Reverse Planet commentator. To ease the mood, he scratched his head. I never thought that besides Miss Soil, there would be someone else who could invite Cheat God out. The only reason Cha Sung-cheol had agreed so quickly was because Young Nayeon had said she was Baek Woo-hyun's friend. The stream entered its countdown. Young Nayeon took a deep breath and finally adjusted her state. Hello, everyone. I'm Young Nayeon. I'm very happy to see you all. Hello, viewers. I'm Chao Song-cheol. Very quickly, the comments started flooding in. Where's Cheat God? Hand over Cheat God. Cold sweat appeared on Young Nayeon's forehead. A lot of people were already growing restless because they hadn't seen Cheat God at the opening. But it was still too early to be disappointed, because Cheat God was already in the game. The next second, the screen switched into the game, and Baek Woo-hyun had already activated personal information protection mode. The stream exploded instantly. Cheat God is here. Ban everyone who said this was clickbait. As you can all see, Cheat God's content will be presented in the form of an observation variety show. We'll watch Cheat God's gameplay while commenting and analyzing at the same time. Everyone is curious how Cheat God will play RP, right? Then let's go ahead and see for ourselves. Right after that, Young Nayeon connected Baek Woo-hyun's screen. It began. Announcement from the Interdimensional Management Bureau. Please rescue the survivors, escort them safely out of the forest, and rendezvous with our forces. Immediately after, a pop-up appeared. Main mission, rendezvous with the Interdimensional Management Bureau. Avoid the guards currently hunting escaped test subjects, and rendezvous with the Interdimensional Management Bureau located on the outer edge of the forest. Baek Woo-hyun was very familiar with it. It was exactly the same as back then. In that world, he had already been pushed to his absolute limit just trying to survive and escape at the time. But this time, I won't run anymore. The next second, he let out a low shout. That shout instantly drew the attention of the guards. Over there, surround him from 3 sides. Baek Woo-hyun had done it on purpose. He wanted revenge on behalf of the dead. 3 on the ground, 2 in the air, and Baek Woo-hyun's hand was already resting on the chain scythe. He had only one goal, kill them all. That was the final wish of his companions. The 2 enemies raised their machine guns and opened fire. While dodging, Baek Woo-hyun swung the chain scythe. The chain scythe struck one machine gun with perfect accuracy. The first exchange ended with a cold weapon overwhelming a firearm. The guard's pupil shrank. The next second, he was swallowed by an explosion. Baek Woo-hyun flashed upward into the air. The guard actually laughed. Idiot, delivering yourself to me? D. But Baek Woo-hyun's hands never stopped moving, and the chain had already been thrown. The 2 guards failed to notice. The chain had long since looped around behind them, made one full turn, and tied itself into a deadly knot. Baek Woo-hyun yanked hard with both hands, and the 2 of them slammed into each other on the spot. Taking advantage of the motion, he swung the chain again, and smashed the 2 of them viciously into the ground. A spray of blood mist burst out immediately. Baek Woo-hyun dropped from the sky and delivered the finishing blow. By then, he had already entered perfect being mode. Young Nayeon's mouth fell open. This isn't the RP I know at all. Even Cha Sung-cheol was stunned. I've been commentating RP for so long, and this is the first time I've ever seen a style like this. There's no strategic setup whatsoever. He just directly lures all the enemies over. The comments, on the contrary, understood Baek Woo-hyun. This is the strategy. Too lazy to search, so just make the enemies come to you. Isn't that common sense? Someone even directly donated 50,000 won and complained that wasn't perfect being way too broken? Did this core element not even have a cooldown? Yang Nyan turned to ask Cha Songcheol. Some people are saying perfect being is too broken. What do you think? I can say this clearly, absolutely not. Most skills have fixed cooldowns. So a style like Cheat Gods that doesn't rely on cooldowns and fights purely through core movements naturally looks like cheating. But perfect being only enhances physical ability. It doesn't increase battle intelligence, and it certainly doesn't automatically improve weapon proficiency. On top of that, Cheat God is still in no assist mode. Could put it in an extreme way. If his physical condition could keep up, he could fight like that in real life too. It's not that perfect being is strong, it's that Cheat God is strong enough to turn it into a monster. Just then, a voice reached Baek Woohyun's ears as the encirclement closed in. 4 black gun barrels were aimed at him at the same time. The leader spoke. We are from the Interdimensional Management Bureau. Put down your weapon and surrender immediately. His name was Kim Cheol, team leader of the Interdimensional Management Bureau. The so-called Interdimensional Management Bureau was a department established by the government, specifically to sweep out individuals who invaded through portals. Its main job was to detain dangerous intruders and suppress them inside the reversed world of dimensional chaos. Baek Woohyun raised both hands. Director Kim Cheol? No, at this point in time he should still only be a team leader. I didn't expect to see him here. Kim Cheol also noticed Baek Woohyun's clothes. So you're a victim who escaped from the institute. My apologies, I was rude. Everyone, stand down. Baek Woohyun said it was fine. But that walkie-talkie. Baek Woohyun said it had been given to him by an important person from the institute. Kim Cheol's expression darkened. It seems he was killed. Team leader Kim Cheol was still just as Baek Woohyun remembered, very humane. Until your identity is confirmed, please remain at the bureau. There have been cases before where institute personnel pretended to be victims. He then ordered his subordinates to withdraw. Being politely invited for tea was something Baek Woohyun was already used to, so he did not mind. Thank you for your cooperation. I'll lead the way. A system prompt sounded. Main mission complete. Level increased. Gained 1 ability point. The scene shifted, and they were now at the headquarters of the Interdimensional Management Bureau. Baek Woohyun sat in the consultation room, and even he had not expected things to lead here. In that world, after escaping the institute, he had taken corporate commissions while saving up money for revenge. Those commissions included assassinations and kidnappings, but the most common ones were still subjugation missions in the reversed world. Companies would recklessly clear out parts of the reverse world for loot, and once they decided the spoils were not worth much, they dumped all the cleanup on him. So naturally he ended up crossing paths with the Interdimensional Management Bureau. They had cooperated on subjugation missions before, but there had also been several times when conflicts escalated to the point of drawing blades on each other. At that moment, the sound of high heels approached from far away. Hello, Baek Woohyun. I'm Lee Yujin, an agent from Team 1 of the Interdimensional Management Bureau. The moment the beauty appeared, the stream came alive again. Sister Yujin really is worthy of being top 3 in RP for looks. Lee Yujin pulled over a chair and sat down. You must have had a hard trip. Mr. Woohyun, you have 2 choices before you. First, accept the protection of the Interdimensional Management Bureau and live as a civilian, but you will be strictly forbidden from using abilities. Second, become an agent of the Interdimensional Management Bureau. Of course, choosing the latter does not mean you can carry out missions immediately. You will need to undergo training and only enter actual combat after passing evaluation. Baek Woohyun said nothing. In that world, he had even killed agents of the Interdimensional Management Bureau, and now he was being asked to become one of them. Lee Yujin continued, so then, civilian or agent, which do you choose? Baek Woohyun visibly tensed up. He thought, if he chose civilian, then in the end he would still, just like on that side, end up taking corporate commissions. He did not want to walk that road again in an apocalyptic world, and he also wanted to see the inside of the Interdimensional Management Bureau clearly, so he directly chose to become an agent. Lee Yujin was very satisfied with his choice. Mr. Woohyun joining us would be a great help. Lately, companies have been poaching awakened people, so we're very short on manpower. She was helpless too. Very few people could refuse a high salary. She was not just making casual complaints. Many people regretted signing with companies afterward, because companies were still in their early stages, and clearly lacked experience in training awakened individuals, to the point that they might not even take responsibility for training accidents. By contrast, the Interdimensional Management Bureau had a long history and a mature system, with abundant experience in both training awakened people and subjugating the reversed world. But Baek Woohyun was not stupid. He knew more than Yujin did. Corporate rewards were indeed higher, but there were also more dangerous commissions, and over on that side, many awakened people had died on corporate jobs. There were even companies that tried to dodge payment with an attitude of take my life if you want, because I have no money, though in the end, he had literally cut them open to get his money back. It was also because of that incident that his identity as an unregistered awakened person was exposed, and the Interdimensional Management Bureau tracked him for a long time. And among those in charge back then was Director Kim Cheol. Lee Yujin said she would apply to the computer department for his awakened person registration, then handed him a phone, saying it was a work phone. Baek Woo-hyun looked at the phone. So what do I do next? First, train as an intern. Once your strength is verified, you'll be promoted, and your squad assignment will also be decided at that time. But Lee Yujin clearly had plans. She wanted Baek Woo-hyun to join Team 1, the one she belonged to. Baek Woo-hyun naturally took up the thread. If that can happen, all the better. After all, over on that side, I owed someone a debt. Even though there had later been many conflicts, the one who had first sent the evacuation message to the innocent victims inside the institute was Lee Yujin. And because it was Lee Yujin who led the raid on the institute, he and his companions had a chance to survive, so the two quickly reached an understanding. At that moment, young Nayeon, sitting outside the game, could no longer stay calm. Wait a second. Don't you think this is strange? The way he's talking to the NPCs is way too natural. In her impression, NPCs simply could not converse like this. She suspected the route had changed, and the Lee Yujin she had seen before had clearly been nothing more than a tool NPC. I honestly can't believe it. So it really is fully responsive AI. Cha Seung-cheol was trembling with excitement. The comments exploded too. Reverse Planet is actually this insane? They can really do that? What is fully responsive AI? So-called fully responsive AI refers to intelligent NPCs that can respond naturally to any situation or request. Unlike traditional NPCs, they can converse freely. Because it consumes an extreme amount of resources, the industry generally believes it is impossible to install in an online game. Unless they had solved the resource problem. But if they really had, there is no way they would hide it as an Easter egg instead of promoting it on a massive scale. So it seemed more likely that it only activated after specific conditions were met, and the minimum condition was probably no assist mode from the very beginning. Because between Baek Woo-hyun and ordinary players, that was the only point of difference. Young Nayeon reacted like someone who had never seen the world before. Baek Woo-hyun, you bastard, anyway. The forum is going to explode again now, right? Yeah, what kind of statement is planet Earth going to make after this? I'm guessing I'll be too excited to sleep. The two of them played off each other very smoothly. And since he's so immersed in the story, this situation is definitely going to attract major figures. We might even be able to invite heavyweight guests. Unfortunately, what you mean is that today's scheduled story mode stream ends here, right? Yes, please look forward to the continuation next stream. For now, we'll be moving into the PvP segment. The viewers protested immediately. Don't cut it off here. How long are we supposed to wait for next time? At this moment, in the combat prep room, Baek Woo-hyun was already ready. He had been waiting for Anonymous Viewer 62 to appear. He had specifically instructed Young Nayeon, if anyone with the ID Anonymous Viewer 62 donated or left a message, tell him immediately, no matter what he was doing. Young Nayeon did not understand, but she still agreed. But she had never notified him, and Baek Woo-hyun knew. That meant he had to keep streaming. He sent Young Nayeon a message. I'm ready. Then we'll continue with PvP. Today's event is Duel. And by the way, this is Baek Woo-hyun's first time playing Duel mode. We'll start from the normal league. For viewers who aren't familiar, let me explain. Reverse Planet has a total of 8 ranks. Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Master, Grandmaster, Challenger. And to enter Bronze, you must get 10 wins in the normal league. According to the statistics, professional players took an average of 30 minutes, while ordinary players needed 2 hours. The comments started mocking themselves. It's over, I'm actually below average. There are too many smurf accounts in this game, so matchmaking luck matters a lot too. Mission, reach bronze within 30 minutes. Reward, 500,000 won upon completion. Young Nayeon's eyes lit up instantly. She immediately sent Baek Woo-hyun a message. The first mission is here. Can you do 10 straight wins within 30 minutes? Baek Woo-hyun gave an okay hand sign. Now this is getting interesting. So, can Baek Woo-hyun succeed in this challenge? Please stay until the end and see. What came next would give everyone a huge shock. PvP duel mode, normal solo match found. Area 6 residential district. 10 seconds until round 1 begins. The next second, Cha Seung-cheol suddenly froze. Baek Woo-hyun had taken out a weapon he had never seen before. His opponent immediately laughed on the spot. A melee-only build? As long as he did not get forced into close range, it was basically a free win. But they had underestimated Baek Woo-hyun. The countdown ended, and round 1 began. The opponent opened first with a ranged skill, Cold Burst. But in the next second, a thin line appeared across his body. Because Baek Woo-hyun had already finished drawing his blade, the opponent was cut cleanly in half. Round 1 ended. Winner, Baek Woo-hyun. Loser, Anonymous. Immediately after came the next match. Who could have imagined that this anonymous player got matched with Baek Woo-hyun again? Oh come on, I ran into a smething dog again. Surrender, surrender. The other side surrendered on the spot. Match ended. Winner, Baek Woohyun. The next match began. Baek Woohyun slashed with his sword, and the opponent's attack was cut apart on the spot. The other side only had time to shout half of my spear of shadow, before his body was split in two just like the first player. All one could say was that Baek Woohyun was too strong. He was practically one-shotting everyone. The next match began. His opponent practiced taekwondo and leaped high at the start, leaving himself wide open. There was no way Baek Woohyun would let that pass. One slash swept across, directly drawing the execution line. Round 4 was another instant kill. Just like that, Baek Woohyun harvested one opponent after another. Very soon, he achieved 10 consecutive wins in only 20 minutes. Yong Nayeon and Cha Sung-cheol were both stunned. Baek Woohyun's rank rose directly from normal to bronze. Yong Nayeon even stumbled over her words. She herself was diamond rank, yet in front of Baek Woohyun she looked like a beginner. Even Cha Sung-cheol had not expected 10 straight wins in just 20 minutes. The chat could only describe it with one word: GOAT. The time was absurd, but even more absurd was how stable his record was. Under normal circumstances, if you ran into attribute counters or high-risk builds, your performance would fluctuate. I think fire builds are hard to deal with, but no matter what kind of build Baek Woohyun faces, his performance doesn't fluctuate at all. He completely steamrolls them. And every match ends fast. A user named Pinecone even donated 500,000 won. Yong Nayeon immediately got excited when she saw the donation. Thank you, Pinecone, for the support. What kind of gameplay will we see in Ranked next? I'm so excited. I'm excited too, but honestly, I'm a little worried. Since this is live, getting stream sniped should be easy, right? He was worried about Baek Woohyun, but even so, the odds of anyone successfully sniping him were still low. He hoped he was just overthinking it. As soon as he finished speaking, a pop-up appeared. PvP duel mode match found. Area 11, Public Cemetery. When he saw the opponent appear, Baek Woohyun paused slightly. The blonde guy started cursing the moment he entered. You shameless cheating bastard, I finally caught you. Listen carefully, from now on, I'm going to personally teach you a lesson. Baek Woohyun rested his hand on the sword hilt. Cha Sung-cheol smiled. Baek Woohyun didn't get baited by the provocation. Yong Nayeon immediately followed up. I already told him long ago. If he runs into people like this, just ignore them. The countdown ended, and round 1 began. The opponent immediately unleashed elemental power, crackling with electricity all over his body. He shot toward Baek Woohyun, leaving a golden arc of lightning in the air. But the punch he threw was easily dodged by Baek Woohyun. Not a single hit landed. Baek Woohyun drew his sword, made only one clean swing, and the sword light tore straight across the blonde man's abdomen. Round 1 ended. Winner, Baek Woohyun. Even while collapsing, the blonde man still refused to stop talking. You cheating freak. The next round started immediately, with only 10 seconds of preparation time in between. The blonde man's expression turned ugly. If this kept going, he was going to lose again and be humiliated beyond belief. It looked like he had no choice but to use that. As soon as round 2 officially began, the blonde man once again burst into crackling electricity. Baek Woohyun looked a little dazed. He felt that the atmosphere was somehow sharper and heavier than before. This time, the blonde man really had improved. The efficiency of his movements was terrifying, almost like Edenu. But his attacks were still completely meaningless. He could not even touch the hem of Baek Woohyun's clothes. The blonde man's expression twisted. Now you get it, right? You cheating piece of trash. I was going easy on you in the first round. The moment he finished speaking, countless punches rained down on Baek Woohyun, beating him like a punching bag. Baek Woohyun's heart sank. The feeling from before had not been wrong. So this was what they meant by cheating. He remembered Yong Nayeon's warning. If you run into people cursing you for cheating and trying to provoke you on purpose, then crush them as thoroughly as possible. The next second, Baek Woohyun entered perfect being mode. His killing intent pressed down around him, and cold sweat broke out on the blonde man at once. What's going on? Why did the whole atmosphere suddenly change? But he forced himself not to panic. No matter how he looked at it, he still had the absolute advantage. He charged straight in. Stop pretending, you cheater. But in the next second, Baek Woohyun vanished from where he stood, swung his sword, and passed by him. The blonde man spat out a mouthful of blood. In the very next instant, Baek Woohyun appeared at his side. One sword strike came down and directly disabled one of his arms. The blonde man screamed out loud, and gritted his teeth as he raised his other fist. But Baek Woohyun lifted his sword and slashed directly at the hand he was punching with. The blonde man broke down on the spot. Both his arms were ruined. So how was he supposed to fight now? Neither Yong Nayeon nor Cha Sung-cheol knew quite how to comment on it. It's like he's deliberately not dealing the final blow. Even though he's had plenty of chances, it really does look that way. Godlike play, and he's also following Miss Nayeon's advice very well. Yong Nayeon felt uneasy hearing that. I really did say he should crush him completely. The live stream exploded too, the monster Yang Nayeon created. What a terrifying woman. What kind of advice will she give next? I'm actually looking forward to it. The blonde man was completely terrified. Who the hell are you? Baek Woo-hyun pointed his sword at him. I'm returning your words to you exactly as you said them. After saying that, he gave the other man a swift finish. With that, round 2 ended. After that, Baek Woo-hyun advanced with unstoppable momentum, continuing his duels and charging all the way to 30 consecutive wins. Yang Nayeon and Cha Sung-cheol were both stunned. His rank had already risen to gold. Getting 30 straight wins on his very first stream was beyond absurd. So this is the legendary smurfing? What on earth did he grow up eating to turn into this? Please, tell me. Yang Nayeon could not answer directly. As for making the build public, usually people are sensitive about that. Should I ask? She immediately sent Baek Woo-hyun a message. Can we make this build public? If it's inconvenient, it's completely okay to refuse. Unexpectedly, Baek Woo-hyun agreed right away. Yang Nayeon instantly grew excited. Everyone, Baek Woo-hyun agreed to reveal the build. I'll organize it after the stream ends and post it to the community. The viewers were so overwhelmed with happiness that it came too fast. Seriously? I only asked casually, and he's actually revealing it? Aren't builds supposed to be super sensitive? All one could say was that Baek Woo-hyun's confidence was not fake. After that, Yang Nayeon and Cha Sung-cheol bowed deeply. Then we'll see you at the next stream. Thank you all for watching for so long. After the stream ended, Cha Sung-cheol was even more excited. This is insane, fully responsive AI, 30 straight wins. And he even revealed the build. The major communities are going to explode. At this rate, won't he just break the record outright? What's the current highest win streak again? Yang Nayeon had only money left in her eyes. The current highest win streak in Duel had been 76 straight wins, set by player Battler while leveling a Smurf account. Anyway, I hope Woo-hyun breaks the record. If it's him, he definitely can. I agree. And a player as competitive as Battler is probably watching Baek Woo-hyun right now. Things unfolded exactly as they had expected. The forums exploded on the spot. First, the blonde guy was discovered to have cheated and was directly permanently banned. Another post caught someone's attention. Even if Battler came, he still couldn't win. And the person who saw that sentence was Battler himself. He actually smiled when he saw it. This was too interesting. A few days later, the second stream officially began. Anonymous Viewer 62 had not appeared during the previous stream. Baek Woo-hyun fell into thought. Was there still some condition missing? Lee Yujin waved at him. Junior. Even in cold weather, she was still dressed provocatively. And the chat got restless even through the screen. As expected of Reverse Planet's top 3 popularity picks, that face is absolutely unfair. Aren't you nervous about your first real combat mission? But anyone who knew Baek Woo-hyun knew she had asked the wrong person. Real combat had come sooner than expected, but to Baek Woo-hyun it was just small stuff. The moment he logged in, a new mission window popped up. Your first field mission has been assigned. Please change into combat gear and rendezvous at the designated location. Baek Woo-hyun actually thought it suited him perfectly. It let him skip training directly. But what exactly was this mission? Lee Yujin told him, completely sweep out the invading entities inside Reverse Planet and seal the space. They had received a report that this place might be exposed. And this place was also a mess left behind by a corporation. Companies sometimes tacitly allowed a sweep, stood by and watched, and if they decided there was no profit in it, they messed up the site and walked away. Lee Yujin was very disgusted by those companies that cared only about profit. Baek Woo-hyun agreed too. Those corporate people were the same wherever they went. The insect-type invading entities did not have a high danger rating. Individually they were weak, but their numbers were horrifying, which made them the most troublesome to deal with. The moment the two arrived at the entrance, a soldier immediately saluted. I'm Sergeant Park Ji-hyun. Are you two awakened individuals from the Interdimensional Management Bureau? Lee Yujin took out her identification. You've worked hard. Identity confirmed. Please go in. The two soldiers were emotional too. It was their first time finding a portal in an abandoned factory. Baek Woo-hyun and Lee Yujin came before the portal, but he felt the place looked familiar. He suddenly realized he had seen this place on that side too, but back then it had definitely not been small scale. It had been medium scale. Was the intelligence wrong? Just as they were about to enter, a voice cut in. Our senior Lee Yujin, what are you doing here handling a small-scale sweep? This unruly guy was named Choi Hyung-cheol, an awakened individual affiliated with Jumshin Electronics. Lee Yujin was surprised too. Choi Hyung-cheol, what are you doing here? I was surprised too. I didn't expect my mission point to overlap with yours, senior. Lee Yujin quite clearly disliked them. They had walked away so decisively before, and now they had run back here, which definitely meant they had some scheme. Saying I have a scheme? That's hurtful. He turned to size up Baek Woo-hyun. Is this the new junior? He even leaned close to Baek Woo-hyun. Don't suffer in the bureau. How about coming to a corporation instead? Lee Yujin almost exploded on the spot. Mr. Choi Hyung-cheol, please do not overstep. Choi Hyung-cheol exaggeratedly raised both hands and took 2 steps back. Got it, how scary. I'll leave this side to you, senior. You handle it. Good luck with that. Baek Woo-hyun asked who this guy was, and Lee Yujin pressed a hand to her forehead. He was the first trainee agent I ever mentored. After this bastard got poached by a corporation, he went around spreading malicious rumors about the bureau. She took out a fruit candy. Want one? Outside the game, Cha Sung-cheol was surprised too. The relationship between Lee Yujin and Choi Hyung-cheol is being explained in this much detail? This is a first, isn't it? It's my first time seeing it too. Before, it was always brushed off with just something bad happened. It looks like the fully responsive AI has deepened the plot. Some viewers were even more excited. If this could trigger a hidden story, it would be incredible. And with Planet Earth style, they might really have hidden something. Lee Yujin suppressed her emotions and cut the topic off. Let's go in. Baek Woo-hyun nodded to show he understood. An energy fluctuation swept past, and Choi Hyung-cheol's group immediately sensed it. He licked his lips. Then we should start working too. Baek Woo-hyun and Lee Yujin stepped into the portal, and then arrived in front of another portal. Lee Yujin said this was the passage leading into Reverse Planet, and that crossing the door on the other side would take them in. I see, it's the same as over there. But the next second, a sudden anomaly occurred. The portal began to destabilize. Baek Woo-hyun suspected it was a sudden interference. Lee Yujin suddenly turned around and shouted, "Watch out." In the next instant, Lee Yujin disappeared. Baek Woo-hyun was teleported deep into the forest. He had obviously been separated from her. He did not panic. It was common for passages to collapse after being struck by outside force. He tightened his grip on the dagger, because standing in front of him was a swarm of spiders. First, clear out these things, then go find Lee Yujin. On the other side, Lee Yujin revealed her ability for the first time. A golden electric light lit up in her palm. With one downward strike of her hand, thunder spread outward, and the spiders blocking her path were immediately hit. Their bodies were severed by the lightning, nearly turning them into roasted spiders on the spot. But Lee Yujin was not doing well either. That strike had consumed a great deal of energy. Even more troublesome was that there were too many spiders to kill them all. And no matter how she looked at this forest, something was wrong. The scale resembled a medium-sized reversed world much more. So there really is a problem. She let out a breath and could only hope Baek Woo-hyun was safe. But she failed to notice that Choi Hyung-cheol had already circled behind her. Lee Yujin was instantly shocked. But Choi Hyung-cheol's sneak attack landed, and one slash cut into her abdomen. Lee Yujin let out a muffled groan. She swung a lightning arc blade backward in return, but Choi Hyung-cheol dodged it. No matter how much Lee Yujin thought about it, she could not understand it. He actually dared attack her. Choi Hyung-cheol laughed loudly. Let's call it a secret mission. I'm just following orders, so don't hate me too much. Right after that, his accomplices showed themselves as well. Lee Yujin knew this was not the time for useless talk. The wound was too deep. She had to disengage first, or she really would die here. She picked a direction and threw out a guardian stone. The moment the guardian stone neared its target, it suddenly transformed into a giant boulder. With a thunderous boom, the guardian stone burst apart, and the unlucky accomplice spat blood on the spot, then crashed heavily to the ground. Lee Yujin seized the chance to rush past him. But Choi Hyung-cheol had come here to kill her, so there was no way he would let her go. Lee Yujin shot away like a horse freed from its reins, instantly widening the distance. She pressed her hands together and activated her power again. A golden light condensed into a thunder spear. With a flip, she hurled the thunder spear at Choi Hyung-cheol and the other two. The three had no choice but to stop and defend. Choi Hyung-cheol flew into a rage and cursed at his companion, "Useless trash. If you won't stop her, what the hell are you doing?" Lee Yujin took the chance to flee while searching for a place to hide. Soon, she saw a hole in the ground. As Choi Hyung-cheol's group chased after her, they suddenly lost sight of her. "Damn it, we lost her because of you. Go keep searching ahead." But what they did not know was that Lee Yujin was hiding right behind them. Only after they had just left did Lee Yujin crawl out. "If I hadn't accidentally ended up in a centipede nest, I'd have been finished." But, a secret mission? What exactly are the corporations plotting? At this point, Baek Woo-hyun had already cleaned out every monster in front of him. The chat loved this style of his. They're all instant kills. He's already cut down dozens of them. He reached the area where something had happened to Lee Yujin. He could clearly smell her presence here. But on the ground there were only chaotic footprints. Something had happened. The next second, he heard Lee Yujin's voice. Baek Woo-hyun instantly accelerated through the forest at a sprint. When he arrived, he saw Lee Yujin tightly entangled by a giant centipede. The chat was worried for her too. She was actually being suppressed by an insect. Baek Woo-hyun moved, instantly entering perfect being mode. He leaped high into the air, dagger in hand, with the palm of his other hand bracing the end of the dagger's handle. And in the instant he brushed past the giant centipede, the creature was directly severed from head to body. Lee Yujin fell with the momentum, and Baek Woo-hyun blinked to the space beneath her. He caught her securely in a princess carry. the whole sequence of movements clean and efficient. Baek Woohyun set Li Yujin down and let her lean against a large tree, then asked in a low voice, "Are you okay?" He could not understand it. With Li Yujin's strength, there was no way she should have been wounded this badly by insects like these, and the wound was too deep. He stared at her injury and immediately judged. This had been caused by an awakened ability. And in these circumstances, there was only one awakened person he could think of who could have done it, Choi Hyang-cheol. So after the abnormal event happened, that guy had come in immediately. In the live stream, young Nyan blushed for some reason, yet also felt strangely stifled inside. Don't you think this is weird? Choi Hyang-cheol wasn't supposed to make his move until much later. The viewers also thought something was off. Logically, this shouldn't happen until the 00 Corporation arc. Why is he appearing this early? Yang Nyan suspected the fully responsive AI was altering the progression, and Cha Sung-cheol could not think of any other explanation. At this stage, that was all they could guess, a hidden storyline? That actually makes it more interesting. Let's keep watching. Li Yujin was breathing heavily as she explained what had happened after they entered. I barely managed to shake them off, but I don't know when he'll try to ambush me again. If I use my ability, I might expose my position. Junior, you need to run first. But running was never Baek Woohyun's choice. He told Li Yujin to do emergency treatment first and then hide, while he went to deal with that group and would come back afterward. Li Yujin's expression changed drastically after hearing that. No, Choi Hyang-cheol is a veteran awakened person. You alone? Baek Woohyun told her not to worry, he had a plan. At this moment, Choi Hyang-cheol was pacing back and forth by the river. They still had not found where Li Yujin was hiding. Choi Hyang-cheol made the decision on the spot. With an injury like that, she can't have gone far. Search all along the canyon. I'm going down first to look for the target. But in the next second, he was suddenly startled. Without hesitation, he unleashed his ability, and flames exploded in midair. Wait, cold sweat broke out on Baek Woohyun. You're that junior of Li Yujin's? Baek Woohyun raised both hands and forced out 3 words. I'm saved. Baek Woohyun was even stammering. The passage suddenly collapsed. I got separated from senior Li Yujin. What exactly is going on? The viewers burst out laughing. What kind of acting is this? I'm dying. Choi Hyang-cheol, rest in peace. Choi Hyang-cheol wore a gentle expression and patted him on the shoulder. You still don't know anything? As for what happened, just go to sleep, and when you wake up, you'll see her. As he spoke, he showed a sickening smile, while his left hand had already gathered his ability, along with tiny sprays of blood. It was Baek Woohyun who struck first, and Choi Hyang-cheol froze on the spot. You bastard. He had not expected that someone else could act even better than he could. Some viewers said he really did not lose unfairly. Honestly, there's no way to defend against a move like that. Choi Hyang-cheol clutched his chest and dropped to his knees, and his 2 accomplices were shocked. What happened? The moment Baek Woohyun landed his hit, he vanished into the forest. The masked man panicked. Damn it, I'll do first aid. You go after that bastard. The other accomplice obeyed immediately and charged out. He sprinted low across the ground. Damn it, where is he? What he did not know was that Baek Woohyun was looking down at him from above, his whole body pressed flat along a massive tree branch. The man ran for a while and still could not find anyone. He couldn't have gone far. Where the hell is he? The next second, Baek Woohyun appeared behind him. By the time he realized it, the dagger was already pressed to his throat, clinging to him like a ghostly shadow. Meanwhile, the masked man was giving Choi Hyang-cheol emergency treatment. Hang in there, the bleeding stopped. As long as we get out and treat you. But he was wrong. The moment he finished speaking, a dagger swept past his ear and precisely lodged itself in Choi Hyang-cheol's heart. The masked man burst into curses. You lunatic. You piece of trash. Now that he was the only one left, Baek Woohyun appeared directly in front of him. Through gritted teeth, the masked man asked, Where's the companion who went after you? Baek Woohyun did not answer, but the 2-handed sword in his hand answered everything. He raised one of the swords, still silent. The masked man recognized it. That was his companion's sword. Fear and rage exploded together, and the masked man activated his ability on the spot. Countless earthen spikes shot toward Baek Woohyun like a torrential rain. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. The earth spikes were as dense as raindrops, and Baek Woohyun could only barely evade them with both hands and feet. Baek Woohyun could only barely evade them with both hands and feet. The masked man had already gone mad with bloodlust and pushed his firepower to the limit. He pressed both hands to the ground, and the earth began to surge and quake, rolling like waves. This was his trump card, Earth Wave. Baek Woohyun ran at full speed. Facing the enemy's frenzied suppression, he cut down a giant tree, using the trunk to block the impact while covering himself. When the masked man saw that even this could not suppress Baek Woohyun, he could not help cursing. This guy is a monster. But he still had one more ace up his sleeve. Rock Horn, activate. A sharp stone suddenly thrust upright in front of Baek Woohyun. It came far too suddenly, and Baek Woohyun could only dodge by force. But he was still half a beat too slow. This was also the first time he had been injured. The broken tree trunk scraped past him and sliced his arm. In the next second, he charged straight at the masked man. The masked man was no weakling either. He released another large wave of stone spikes, his roar drowning out everything else. "Don't come any closer." Baek Woo-hyun shifted the edge of his sword. With one sweep of sword light, all the stone spikes were drawn into it and instantly shredded into fragments. As the sword light flashed again, Baek Woo-hyun had already moved behind the masked man and brought down a cross slash. The masked man felt as though most of the blood in his body was no longer his own. His pupils contracted violently. How is that possible? The next second, the masked man fell, and Baek Woo-hyun completed a triple kill. The viewers felt their scalps go numb watching it. This is insane. I didn't even dare breathe. I'm on my knees. Yang Nayeon was completely dumbfounded. Using only a single core element, he had forcefully broken through a 3-on-1 hunt from the hounds. Chao Sung-cheol was so excited his face had turned red. The viewers erupted into discussion. The gap is way too hopeless. But running into the hounds on a first mission, is this difficulty even serious? I can't close my mouth. Baek Woo-hyun looked at the wound on his arm. He had only managed this much by taking 2 of them out through sneak attacks. As expected, compared to that world, I'm still far too lacking. Then let me see. He picked up Choi Hyung-cheol's phone, and there was actually a message inside. Lee Yujin and the target are expected to be dispatched to the reversed world. Capture them alive if possible. If circumstances do not allow it, on-site termination is authorized. So Lee Yujin had only been implicated because of him. But even after searching all the bodies, he found no more critical clues. Just this one message? Baek Woo-hyun was a little disappointed. The Management Bureau could handle the follow-up investigation. But there was also an unexpected gain, a sharp returning dagger. First effect, slightly increases the blade's cutting power. Second effect, after being thrown, it can return to the thrower's hand at any time. But this effect applies only in PvE. The second item was the Victor's Bracelet. First effect, increases the power of ability skills. Second effect, reduces the cooldown time of ability skills. Again, it applies only in PvE. The third item was the Hidden One's Necklace. First effect, allows use of the shadow storage. Second effect, equipment can be stored in or retrieved from the storage at any time. This too applies only in PvE. Baek Woo-hyun had not expected to be able to see the effect descriptions directly, so it really was a game over there. The only way was to test things bit by bit. In any case, the immediate crisis had been suppressed, so now every second counted. He had to clear Reverse Planet before Lee Yujin's injuries worsened. At this moment, Lee Yujin felt somewhat desperate. She thought her luck had hit rock bottom. To actually run into a leader-type entity, the Emperor Scorpion. This luck is beyond saving. No, I should say it's fortunate. If it had gone somewhere other than here, and toward the Junior instead? Before she could finish the thought, the Emperor Scorpion had already attacked. Just one of its pincers was bigger than several of her put together. But she could not possibly sit there and wait to die. She activated her ability once more. She had to take it down here, and if there were consequences, she would deal with them after surviving. But before she could make her move, the Emperor Scorpion slammed to the ground with a boom. Lee Yujin was stunned. What had just happened? The Emperor Scorpion had simply died like that? Then Baek Woo-hyun's voice came. Are you okay? He stood there with one sword resting on his shoulder, and one foot planted on another sword, whose blade was stabbed into the Emperor Scorpion's vital point. The pose was so cool that Lee Yujin stared blankly for a moment. The viewers had not expected him to be this fierce either. With that body, he can still fight the boss? He cleared all the normal and elite mobs, then went straight to the boss too. Suddenly, the sky began to crack. Baek Woo-hyun knew the reversed world was about to close. He jumped down in front of Lee Yujin. You did it. You really took down the hounds by yourself. But now's not the time to talk about that. We need to leave first. Baek Woo-hyun said he would carry her. Yang Nayeon also guessed the reason. They completed the sweep while the passage had collapsed, so before they could leave, the world had started closing early. Lee Yujin felt a little embarrassed, but still let Baek Woo-hyun carry her. She really could not move. Cha Sung-cheol added his own judgment as well. That's right, so they have to rush out before they get pulled in. Baek Woo-hyun told Lee Yujin to hold on tight. The two quickly reached the portal. A system prompt popped up. Sweep completed. Received 1 ability point. Level increased. Several notifications popped up in succession. This time, it was Kim Cheol doing the questioning. Is it true that Lee Yujin was attacked and injured by corporate awakened individuals? After receiving confirmation, Kim Cheol smacked his forehead hard. Those people from the big corporations finally crossed the line after all. What about those guys? Baek Woo-hyun answered very simply. They were dead. Kim Cheol was stunned. You alone? How did you do it? He then remembered the first time he had seen Baek Woo-hyun, and suddenly it no longer seemed quite so outrageous. Do you have anything that can serve as evidence? Baek Woo-hyun handed over Choi Hyung-cheol's phone. This is their phone. You can see traces of text messages showing they were ordered to do it. but the other contents are encrypted, so I can't confirm them. Good. Thanks to you, the investigation will go much more smoothly. Leave the rest to us and go rest. Baek Woo-hyun got up, preparing to leave. But Kim Cheol called out to him again. This may be a bit meddlesome of me, but in the future, you'll definitely run into opportunities. Baek Woo-hyun did not understand what he was trying to say. Until then, you have to endure it, understood? Baek Woo-hyun did not ask why, he only needed to follow instructions. The system popped up again. First field mission completed. Level increased. Received 1 ability point. Please choose your second ability core element. The first field mission is finally over. It felt even more like an action blockbuster than expected. The viewer should be pretty satisfied, right? Yang Nyan wanted to check the feedback. It would have been better if she had not looked, because the moment she did, she froze. Anonymous Viewer 62 had privately donated 3 million won. Congratulations on clearing the first checkpoint. Now then, a special mission will be issued. Yang Nyan immediately sent the message to Baek Woo-hyun, and said she would also send him the screenshot in a moment. Baek Woo-hyun looked at the 3 pop-up windows. Another special mission. So that's what Anonymous Viewer 62 meant earlier too? They were waiting until I finished streaming to tell me? Baek Woo-hyun told Yang Nyan to speed up the stream flow a little first. Yang Nyan was completely fine with that. Cha Sung-cheol turned to look at her. Nyan, what is it? Nothing. Yang Nyan was puzzled too. That's strange, you can't see this donation pop up either? Although it was a private donation, she decided not to dwell on it for now and just continue the stream first. She brushed over it casually. This stream is getting a very strong response too. Should we ride the momentum and switch over to the PvP segment? Cha Sung-cheol thought that made perfect sense. In the last PvP duel, Baek Woo-hyun put up an astonishing win streak and even became a trending topic for a while. So what PvP are we playing today? The two of them smoothly moved the stream along together, and today's PvP mode was Conflict. Conflict mode includes Escort, Elimination, Domination, and Seizure. The 4 modes are matched at random, with fixed 5 versus 5 team battles in a best-of-3 format. The viewers were dissatisfied. What's with Conflict mode? Why not Duel? I've been waiting to see the win streak record. Are you avoiding it because you're afraid the streak will break? Yang Nyan had already expected opposition, but she still broke out in sweat. Sure enough, it came. Still, she believed his play would shut them up. Then let's begin. As soon as a normal escort match was found, Baek Woo-hyun's side, as the attackers, was teleported in front of a truck with 5 players. Cha Sung-cheol had not expected the first round to be escort. The attacking side has to push the payload to the finish, while the defenders are responsible for stopping it. Although this is his first 5v5 team battle, I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of gameplay Baek Woo-hyun will produce. As round 1 officially began, the vehicle started up and slowly moved forward. The 5 players quickly took up positions, 2 hid inside the truck bed, and 2 were placed at the front of the truck. Baek Woo-hyun stood at the very back, but Baek Woo-hyun suddenly stopped and turned around. Cha Sung-cheol was startled and could not understand the idea at all. Was he going to flank from behind? So-called flanking meant not defending the front of the objective, but instead circling around to the enemy's rear and launching an attack. The standard strategy is to fight around the payload, but if your individual skill is high enough, flanking really is a vicious tactic. Just that under normal circumstances, one person can hardly stop 5 others. Baek Woo-hyun jumped repeatedly and landed directly on a rooftop. Quite a few viewers had confidence in him. If it's Baek Woo-hyun, he should be able to do it. This is just a match-made game, not ranked. It's basically all newbies. Others poured cold water on it. How do you know the other side doesn't have SMEF accounts too? Judging from the minimap, Baek Woo-hyun was rapidly approaching the enemy side. That speed is ridiculous. He's about to run into the defenders already. With a whoosh, Baek Woo-hyun leaped into the air, and directly below him were the 5 defenders. He raised the dagger high, then in the next second hurled it down hard. The first unlucky guy was hit immediately. The dagger went straight into his neck without missing, and the sudden change made everyone else freeze. What? A flank? One blonde guy's mouth dropped so wide it could fit an egg. But in the next second, his head hit the ground. Baek Woo-hyun opened the match with an instant double kill. With 2 teammates down, the remaining 3 players' minds went blank. What just happened? I'll hold him off. You guys go push the cart. But it was as if they had forgotten about Baek Woo-hyun. The real Grim Reaper was right here. The next second, Baek Woo-hyun calmly harvested them, and the remaining 3 were also eliminated directly. Baek Woo-hyun's teammates were all dumbfounded, staring at the kill feed that kept refreshing. What is going on? Why won't the kill notification stop? Just like that, the attacking side took the first round victory. The viewers were losing their minds with laughter. His teammates' reactions are killing me. I'd be the same. I did absolutely nothing and still won. I'd have to thank Baek Woo-hyun. Yoon Nayeon and the others were shaken too. I expected Baek Woo-hyun to perform well, but it ended so quickly that I somehow feel empty instead. I don't know why, but today's pace feels especially fast. Could he be in a hurry? It had to be said that Cha Sung-cheol's sixth sense was sharp. Yang Nayan could only answer vaguely. Who knows? Let's keep watching. There are still the remaining 3 modes. The moment elimination began, Baek Woohyun opened with a killing blow, and quickly wiped out the entire enemy side. Next came domination, and the opening immediately turned into a decisive battle. The enemy players lost their nerve on the spot. What the hell is that guy? Stop him. The two on the rooftop hurriedly used skills, trying to block Baek Woohyun. But Baek Woohyun used a chain together with his dagger as footholds and ran up as though stepping on air. In just 2 jumps he was right in their faces, and the instant they met him, both were bleeding. Even in perfect survival mode, he was still too strong. Finally came Seizure, and Baek Woohyun succeeded in capturing the flag all by himself. Just like that, with an overwhelming pentakill, he instantly ended the entire match. Anonymous Viewer 62 once again sent a private donation of 3 million won. Good work today. Now then, a special mission will be issued. While continuing to play the game, unlock the new system in Reverse Planet. Young Nayeon's heart jolted, another 3 million. Woohyun, it happened again. Anonymous Viewer 62's donation and message, 3 million. We can use this money for a fan event, or a group meal, or even upgrade the equipment. Baek Woohyun did not care about any of that. He only cared about the content of the message. He looked at the screenshot Young Nayeon had sent, a new system, and the requirement was while continuing to play the game. Which meant, whether PvE or PvP, he had to keep playing without stopping. Baek Woohyun closed his eyes, as if suppressing some kind of emotion. In the end, in order to drag out the one behind the scenes, he chose to compromise. In any case, let's do as that person wants for now. A few days later, on the day of filming the 3rd episode of the Microcontrol Showcase, Baek Woohyun arrived at the combat training ground of the Otherworld Management Bureau. Not long after he arrived, he received a message from Lee Yujin. Junior, I'm injured, so it'll be hard for me to keep acting as the shooter for now. So I found someone to fill in. If you come to the training ground, I'll introduce you. Young Nayeon also muttered quietly, who could it be? At the level of a microcontrol master, the Bureau would probably send a well-known key member. The viewers also started guessing. Kim Cheol or Jang Ho-young, one of the two. As soon as the two met, Baek Woohyun noticed that Lee Yujin was wrapped in bandages. Senior, are you feeling any better? Thanks to you. But the shooter position will have to be handed over to someone else for the time being. She immediately looked to the side. Perfect timing, they're here. Hello, I'm Kim Hana. The live stream instantly exploded. After Lee Yujin, now it's Kim Hana too? I'm so jealous I could die. We didn't ask for our guy to be this blessed. Kim Hana's strength was second only to Kim Cheol's. She was the acknowledged number 2 of the Otherworld Management Bureau. Baek Woohyun had been enemies with her in that world before, and she had indeed been very troublesome. Now that you've said hello, I'll get going first, Lee Yujin said as she quietly edged away. I actually snuck out. Didn't you say you got permission to go out? Junior, I'm leaving this to you. With that, she slipped away on the spot, leaving Kim Hana so angry she looked like she was about to explode where she stood. For a moment, the scene fell into awkward silence. Kim Hana coughed twice and suppressed her emotions. I heard you use swords. Do you mainly use a long sword or a short sword? I use both. Both? Kim Hana narrowed her eyes. I want to see what level you're at. Then let's have a simple spar. The moment Cha Sung-cheol heard that, his expression changed. Young Nayeon did not understand. What's wrong? Cha Sung-cheol was visibly sweating cold. The direction of the plot is getting kind of absurd. A spar with Kim Hana? Isn't it normal for sword users to spar? Normal doesn't mean it would actually happen. Cha Sung-cheol gritted his teeth. This development is only being triggered because Baek Woohyun is the protagonist. A chill ran down Young Nayeon's spine, and she started sweating too. Even if it's fully adaptive AI, a fixed storyline should still have boundaries. But this is completely different. In other words, this game can completely change the direction of the story afterward based on the player's actions, just like reality. At this moment, the two had already taken their positions. The pressure dropped, and a fight could break out at any second. Kim Hana set the conditions first. No abilities, only swords. Baek Woohyun said that was impossible. His ability was physical enhancement, a permanent passive, and it was always in effect. Kim Hana nodded. Then I'll use a little too, in moderation. Green energy lit up around her, and in the next instant she slashed straight at Baek Woohyun. Several afterimages trailed from Baek Woohyun's body, and the motion of him drawing his sword was almost impossible to see. Bang! Their attacks collided head-on. Kim Hana slammed her right foot into the ground. With a gorgeous spin, she forcibly sent Baek Woohyun flying. Cha Sung-cheol's heart sank. Kim Hana really was on another level. Young Nayeon smoothly continued the commentary. That should be a Wind God-style build, right? Seeing Baek Woohyun fall into a disadvantage, Kim Hana immediately pressed forward. Cha Sung-cheol picked up the explanation. Half right, half wrong. The Wind God style was born with Kim Hana as its model. But Baek Woo-hyun is outrageous too. He hasn't lost to her in speed at all. Kim Hana's offensive was like a storm of wind and rain, yet Baek Woo-hyun blocked every strike at the most precise possible point. Kim Hana was somewhat surprised. Baek Woo-hyun was not just fast, he was also using precise angles to forcibly cut into her openings. Alright, then it should be fine if I get a little more serious. Kim Hana's presence changed in an instant, as if a beast inside her had been released. The wooden sword in her hand thrust to the front of Baek Woo-hyun's eyes in a flash. Her ability erupted hard enough to pierce the air, sending rings of energy rippling through midair. As expected, I knew you'd dodge. But the training facility behind Baek Woo-hyun had already turned into a field of ruins. The live stream chat instantly flooded the screen. As expected of Kim Hana, Baek Woo-hyun has only unlocked 2 core elements. If he had one more, he could probably fight her evenly, right? Kim Hana was very satisfied with Baek Woo-hyun's performance. Baek Woo-hyun thanked her. If this were a real fight, my chances of winning would probably be under 20%. As expected, compared with that side, I'm still far behind. Kim Hana finally asked what had been on her mind. Who taught you your swordsmanship? I taught myself. To reach this level by self-study. Kim Hana fell silent for a moment. Good, come with me. I'll take you somewhere. At that moment, a pop-up appeared. Mission, complete the spar with Kim Hana. His level increased several times in a row. After that, the two arrived at an area that looked like an armory. It was actually the armory of the Otherworld Management Bureau, with rows upon rows of weapons on display. The higher-ups have decided that Mr. Woo-hyun needs a weapon that truly suits him. The one speaking was the chubby man, Kim Hyun-woo, head of the support assistance team. That's right, Kim Hana spoke calmly. Even if there are ready-made weapons, there's no reason to keep using blank gear with no affixes. Kim Hyun-woo bowed to the two of them. Then please take your time choosing. I'll take my leave first. Choose. Kim Hana looked at Baek Woo-hyun. Take your time. Baek Woo-hyun stared at the weapon rack and thought, there's nothing more worthwhile than I expected. Only this one is passable. In front of him was a spear, the blood-sucking spear, Dragos. First effect, increases the cutting power of the spear blade. Second effect, absorbs blood that sticks to the blade to restore stamina. Third effect, gains control over blood. He was just about to choose it, but in the next second, his whole body jolted. That was Soul Eater, a completely ordinary-looking two-handed sword. Soul-destroying sword, Soul Eater. First effect, it can never be destroyed. Second effect, its cutting power increases according to the number of souls it has devoured. Current devoured count, 0. Third effect, restores stamina equal to a certain proportion of the damage dealt by Soul Eater. Fourth and fifth effects, sealed. This effect applies only to PvE content. Baek Woo-hyun could not understand it. This thing was supposed to appear on the black market, so why was it here? Unless, it had originally belonged to the Bureau and was later secretly sold off. That was the only explanation. He had not expected to see again here the old companion that had fought beside him in that world. Kim Hana was somewhat surprised. You're choosing that one? That one. The two-handed sword. Kim Hana smiled a little. Interesting. Kim Hana said she would go coordinate the transfer of ownership. Baek Woo-hyun held the two-handed sword and could hardly put it down. Yong Nyan was completely stunned. What on earth was going on? At the normal pace, only 2 affix weapons should appear at this stage. The viewers also found it absurd. How can a 5-affix weapon appear this early? And the affixes are random, but every one of them is top tier. When I went to the armory, there was nothing like this at all. At that moment, a viewer donated 1,001 and left a message. If all the seals on that weapon get unlocked, it feels like it'll be endgame gear. Cha Sung-chil was already getting used to it. In the end, this was not even the first time Baek Woo-hyun had obtained gear from ahead of the normal version. The Hidden One's necklace from the previous sweep had originally also been something that would only appear much later in the story. Once he said that, the viewers finally realized it. Now that I think about it, that's true. We were so focused on the hidden story that we forgot about the equipment. On the very first sweep he fought the hounds. Who had time to care about drops? The risk-reward system of Reverse Planet, it was very clear. The higher the difficulty, the more brutal the rewards. So because he took down the hounds on his very first sweep, that's why the Hidden One's necklace dropped? On top of that, from Baek Woo-hyun escaping the laboratory to sparring with Kim Hana, every step had been high difficulty and perfectly accomplished. That's right, he bulldozed his way through everything. So this Soul Eater is the reward the system gave him. That guess makes a lot of sense. Of course, for now it's still just a guess. Let's keep watching. After learning that the ownership transfer had been completed, Baek Woo-hyun expressed his thanks. Now that you've got a new weapon, Kim Hana said, her eyes shining, let's go do a sweep and get some practice with it, as expected of a battle maniac. They arrived at a stretch of continuous mountains. Neither of them had expected there to be a portal at the mountaintop. This warm-up was pretty brutal. The guard soldier had not been lying. He said the portal was just a little farther up. But no one had expected that this little meant climbing all the way to the top of the mountain. He had clearly said, just a tiny bit farther. In any case, this was the activity area of wolf-type beast invaders, small-scale beast types, with a relatively low danger rating. Wolves are pack animals, Kim Hana reminded him. They have a strong sense of territory, so they'll soon come swarming in groups. Baek Woohyun closed his eyes. Beast type? A little more troublesome than insect type, but below B rank they're all about the same. Saves me the trouble of looking elsewhere. Kim Hana said she would not interfere unless the situation went out of control. She simply stood to the side and watched, even telling Baek Woohyun to do his best. Baek Woohyun summoned Soul Eater from the shadow storage. Immediately after, a round of wolf howls came from deep within the forested mountain. Baek Woohyun knew they were here. He directly entered perfect existence mode. The wolf pack approached with killing intent, and Baek Woohyun took up a sword-drawing stance. The instant the wolves entered attack range, he swung the two-handed sword. His first strike was full power, and Soul Eater drew a curved arc of sword light. Blood burst from the wolves on the spot. In the next second, Soul Eater changed, and a line of blood lit up in the center of the blade, increasing its cutting power. Young Nyeon's mouth fell open. That huge greatsword, and he's swinging it as if it has no weight at all. But for some reason, Cha Song-cheol felt his eyes grow hot. At that moment, a viewer named Cha Song-cheol donated 50,000 won and left a message. This microcontrol is insane. Baek Woohyun looked at Soul Eater in his hand with satisfaction. The feel really was completely different from other weapons. Kim Hana, however, was shaken by that one strike of his. This is Heavenly Moon Slash? She looked at Baek Woohyun, and for the first time her gaze truly became serious. This person was becoming harder and harder to see through.